Yesterday I taught you
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hope you're having a good long weekend if you're from the States. Today we're going to be taking a look at David Strait once again. This is, I think, the third time we've done a Sovereign Citizen Spotlight on him, and we are still at the same conference. We took 6 hours over the last 2 streams about him to get through day 1 of the presentation he was giving. Today we're going to start day 2 of his standard presentation. Don't know exactly how much we're going to get through, but hopefully we'll get through at least half of day 2. If not, that's all right. We have plenty of time in the future to cover him. I just thought, today's Sunday, it's a long weekend, it'd be kind of chill to just listen to a crazy guy give his con artist speech to a bunch of other crazy people. So, that's what we're gonna do. I'll do my housekeeping real quick, and then we'll jump right in. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor and hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. Helps a lot. Also, hype the stream if you can, on the VOD or live. If you're on YouTube and you want to support the stream, you can use memberships or super chats. Speaking of which, after this stream, we are going to do a Patreon and member-only stream, so if you want to be a part of that, make sure you join as a member on YouTube or as a paid member on Patreon. All right, with that out of the way, Dodger Mutt, thanks for a 50 stream streak, says, is the opposite of David Strait David Gay? Who knows, maybe that's his next reincarnation. He'll be even more powerful, like Gandalf. Sweet Lily Love, thanks for a 165 stream streak, says, yay. And Ken's sister Sue with an 80 stream streak says, good afternoon, lovely Hannah. I've watched 80 highly entertaining streams. Thank you for all the effort you put in. No problem. Makes it worth it when people watch and enjoy. Are we trying Spider Baby again? No, we're not trying that today. I do have a plan for that. Patreon actually did start where you can stream directly to Patreon, so I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna see if there's a way I can get YouTube members on that. If not, I have some other ideas. But we're not gonna do a movie today on the patron-only stream. We're gonna watch, like, some random YouTube stuff together and just kind of hang out. It'll be pretty chill. Ken's sister Sue, thanks for an 80 stream streak, says, good afternoon, lovely. Oh, I read that already. I apologize. Let me do this hydrate from Jay's a Proxy, and then we can get started. Oh, also, if you want to support the stream on Twitch, you can always use subscriptions or bits. Oh god, this comment. 4 astronauts of NASA's Artemis 2 mission were accosted on Capitol Hill recently by an aggressive man who accused them of faking their moon mission. Stop lying, stop acting, you all never went to space, the man said just a few feet away. Follow Jesus, God's watching all of you. Excerpt from Stop Lying, conspiracy theorist confronts Artemis 2 astronauts, accuses them of faking their moon mission. I'm gonna be honest, there are enough flat earthers out there. I'm kind of worried for astronaut safety at this point. I feel like one of these guys one day is gonna go full begonia and kidnap an astronaut to try and, like, get them to admit that space is fake at gunpoint or something. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but I don't know. People are pretty nuts, so... Anyway, let's get started with David Strait. He is a sovereign citizen con man extraordinaire.
yesterday I taught you in just a
Ooh, I definitely have to turn him up. He is very quiet.
very short period of time how to just about win every single time against those that are coming after you and what you need to do. But I'm going to go in more depth and
I want to point out that there are no court records of David Strait winning any court battle using any of the techniques that he has used here. The only lawsuits he's ever been involved in, apparently, are things involving his cattle ranch, and it doesn't appear that there was sovereign citizenry afoot there. So he's just a grifter. Was a grifter. He's not alive anymore.
detail today. Yesterday it was just about covering a lot of things.
Is it still raining? I don't hear it, but it might be raining a little bit. I'm not sure. Yeah, we're getting a lot of rain today, according to the weather report.
Just so that you know what it's really like out there and what you really need to do. A lot of people come to this.
Astronauts are crafty and stay fit. Okay, that's not going to help you if someone walks up to you while you're alone with a gun and says, "Get in my car or I'm going to kill you."
With the idea, oh gosh, I can do one thing that's going to change my status, and that's it. And it's not true. You have to do quite a few things to right the wrongs you've already made all your life without knowing what you've been doing. And you have to do those steps, you right those wrongs, and then in the future, from that point on, your only job is to tell them no. Tell them no, tell them no, tell them.
Speaking of David, any updates on his disciple who lost her house in Texas? Thank you for asking that. What a perfect segue. I didn't even plan that. Mel Fletch, who lost her house in Texas. You guys know we watched her reels all about this. She hasn't posted any more videos, but she has posted like a text post. So I'll read it to you guys and tell you what it says. It also has some pictures. Is this the man who teaches all the sovereign tricks that don't work? He should be prosecuted for this seminar. He's dead. He's dead. Can't prosecute him. He's dead. And in like the real way, not in the sovereign citizen dead entity way. Like he's actually a cadaver. At this point, he's probably mostly bones. Spooky, juicy bones. Woo! Sovereign citizen Skellington. No, he's dead though, for real. Anyway, he was not the one whose student killed him. That was a friend of his. A friend of his who is also a guru for sovereign citizenry was shot by one of his, grifties. His all caps name is still alive. Anyway, here's Mel's recent post from the 21st. Today is the 24th of May, 2026. Mel says, public notice, justice equals just us. Just ice? Because it's all club membership. What words have ship that they use to deceive us? Ownership, citizenship, membership, dealership, kinship, hardship, friendship, partnership, sponsorship, leadership, championship, workmanship, relationship. That was kind of fun to say. Look at all the photos. It's in your face. Stockman, eviction specialist, strict land, you can't make this up. Strict record keeping. Bill, what is a bill? Wayborn. Born, spelled differently. Judge Ralph swearing in. Judge Don Pearson, peer, son. What is a peer? Pierce the sun. More mockery of Jesus Christ. Oh, this is, there's a word for this that's not very nice and is ableist that I'm not going to use for this, but this is a specific kind of posting. Wow. H-Baird says, to be fair, technically the statistics show that you're more likely to be kidnapped by an astronaut. That's true because of the diaper lady.
From former astronaut Lisa Nowak, a guilty
Yeah, I remember this shit.
plea after attacking a romantic rival following a
What a fucking queen.
1,000-mile journey
She's our diaper queen.
from Houston
Go
to
get it, you crazy bitch.
Orlando. Nowak pleaded guilty to felony burglary and misdemeanor battery, sentenced to a year on probation. She confronted another woman at the Orlando airport in 2007, a woman who had been dating Nowak's love interest, a fellow astronaut. Nowak was wearing a wig and trench coat, attacking Colleen Shipman with pepper spray. Nowak was arrested, caught with a number of items, including a knife and BB pistol. The 46-year-old is a married mother of 3, last flying on the space shuttle in 2006, and later dismissed from the astronaut corps after her arrest.
Wait, you haven't heard about this, Baha? You haven't heard about this? Yeah! She traveled across the country to go, like, allegedly attack this guy's new partner, and she wore diapers the whole time so she didn't have to stop at any rest stops. Hey, Jessica Davis, how you been?
Lee Powell, The Associated Press.
Has a movie been made about this? I think there was, like, a TV movie or something at the time. I don't remember. I'm very purple-blue today. Yeah, the color... Hold on, let me take a look. My white balance is way off today. Let me adjust that. Depending on the lighting and the clothes I'm wearing, the costume I'm wearing, you have to adjust the white balance. Is that better? That should be a little better. It'll adjust weird if if I cover my hair, it turns really blue because it's like automatically adjusting. And then it'll go back to normal. It's very weird. I wish I had someone who knew about audio and video equipment to help fix my shit.
Oh no, correct.
Oh, we were on the Mel Fletch thing. She continues. Rick Barnes, born in a barn? Mockery of Jesus through unlawful taxation. The real crazy, tongue-out emoji, of all of this. All of those I have gone to for help are retired military who now have positions in law enforcement, city government, county government, and state government. Doesn't that just raise a red flag as to who is really failing the people? This is me in 2023. First time Tarrant County tried to steal my home. They are all in on it. They all get paid millions off public trust accounts via identity theft. Again, these public trust accounts do not exist. These are a figment of sovereign citizen imagination. David Strait is one of the people who talked about this, who taught people about this. Who is this Mel person? She's the one in Texas who lost her house. So, like a week or two ago, we went through all her videos about it, and this is just a text post she did recently. Does anyone really believe those who commit fraud and theft are ever going to admit they lie, steal, and cheat the people of all their unalienable rights? Office of the Texas State Secretary of State. If my house sold, where is the lien payment of $423,000 to me as the first lien holder? Ma'am, that was a fraudulent lien. She filed a lien on her own house to try and keep it from being sold because she defaulted or something. You can't do that. That's a fraudulent lien. You have no right to lien your own house. That's not how this works. FBI, why did you never investigate when I mailed multiple letters requesting an investigation into foreclosure fraud on my home? Oh wait, Judge Ralph Swearingen Jr. is not only said to be a judge, he's also previous Fort Worth Police Department as well as FBI. Seems like quite a conflict of interest, especially since he also has a law office in a neighboring county known as Parker County with Phil King. Tarrant County tax assessor collector, why when I not only came into your office and provided my publicly recorded documents showing that my home is in freehold and that I am the guarantee, or rather the grantee, as well as mailed them registered mail, did your office fail to correct the record from PMI Mortgage Insurance as the owner back to the rightful owner? Because you weren't the rightful owner at that point. You can't fraudulently put things on the record that aren't true. The clerk's office are gatekeepers of the court. You can't just file nonsense bullshit. That's not how this works. How did the TAD office cancel my military benefits without my knowledge in October of 2025? If the house changed ownership in October of 2025 to PMI Mortgage Insurance, how did LB Construction buy the home on January 6th off the courthouse steps at a foreclosure sale? Tarrant County Sheriffs, how was there a foreclosure sale when Melanie Fletcher never had PMI Mortgage Insurance as the loan was a VA-funded loan? Just because it was funded by the VA doesn't mean that you don't have the PMI insurance. What are you talking about? Like, my mortgage got the insurance put on it. I think it was because I didn't put as much down as, like, there's a certain percentage you have to put down, in my understanding, before they don't do the insurance, or after a certain period into your mortgage, when you paid enough of it off, then they will remove the insurance, potentially. How did LB Construction, who's a corporation, sign anything or publicly record anything? Because companies are allowed to do that. Did LB Construction provide the required photo identification required per local law to Maria Salazar to publicly record in Tarrant County? What about Nestor Solutions, who's also a corporation? Did it provide a photo identification to publicly record on the public record? The fraud that's occurring in Tarrant County and across the country to steal land is alarming and should have everyone asking questions. This Republican Trump voter is worried about people's land being stolen. That's kind of ironic. The fact is, the county not only tried to foreclose my home twice since 2023, but then did it again in 2026 by deleting public records and selling an old debt to make it look like a foreclosure is not only extremely concerning, it is criminal. What they removed from the record were her sovereign citizen nonsense filings, and there's still record of them being on the record. They were just removed because they were pseudo-legal nonsense. There's no reason for them to be in the docket for this matter. To those who keep saying I should get an attorney, I ask, why aren't Duong more? So it's supposed to be doing, I'm guessing. I ask why we aren't doing more to remove these criminals from their offices that are masquerading as government. They're all impersonating their positions and central casting using their positions to steal from the people. Trump voter. They're not only stealing homes, cars, and belongings, they're kidnapping and stealing people in county jails. They're stealing boys and girls from families and selling them across the country. You think Epstein and the list of Hollywood elites is the only thing being kept from us? Why has the city of Fort Worth, South Lake, and Keller recently become its own little Hollywood with the filming of Landman and Lioness? I assume they're giving tax incentives. A lot of states do that to try and get filming happening in their state. They literally just filmed less than a mile from my home that was stolen at the Ace Hardware store. You could hear the gunshots while filming. Was my house part of the show? Larry Branch was filming me during his insurrection of my home as he wore his Trump hat backwards, just like they did in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. So she thinks that this is all a psyop and part of a bigger thing. She clearly thinks that the January 6th people were actors, that they weren't real Trump supporters, that they were like secretly Antifa or the Black Hats or something. And she thinks that her house being foreclosed on is similar to that, and that a movie production nearby is evidence that this is all fake, that we're all watching a movie. She is deeply detached from reality and needs an intervention badly. I'm very concerned. None of this is a coincidence. What people fail to know is how deep this really goes, and who all was involved, as the people I've met along the way are in deep. In fact, several have died in the last 2 years. They were CIA and FBI agents who were seeking out believers of Jesus Christ, and those who cared to stand against the COVID bullshit, as well as the pedophilia and pedophiles in our schools. I was a target from day one, and I am still a target because the criminals can't stand those who expose the truth. The crazy of it all, crazy face emoji, I was simply trying to do what was morally right. I never knew that the truth disturbed so many, and that for that reason I lost my husband, lost my job, lost my home, and I'm certain they're now looking for a way to disappear me altogether because now they have the people believing I'm the bad guy. The city also falsified public records pertaining to R-word and strangulation by Gregory Ross that they failed to investigate. 14 reported assault results, and the Fort Worth Police Department sent me a letter stating they failed to investigate 2 years after the fact. What's the statute of limitations? Another coincidence, right? My home was paid in full. My home is recorded as mine on the public record. It is not. I have looked at the record. It's not anymore. Not sure why I'm the one who needs an attorney when it seems by all the evidence my home should have never been touched, as I never consented, and the public records are overwhelming as to why my home should have never been touched by any corporation, including the state of Texas. The Tarrant County Cartel Mafia, however, does whatever they want, and then further extorts money from anyone they drag into their courts that are private and for profit to line their pockets. I have registered 2 mailings into the court that arrived yesterday for pickup, which is hilarious because they claim they don't have a P.O. box. Why does the mail go to the post office instead of the courthouse where I mailed it? Why does someone have to go to the post office to claim the mail? I guess we will see if the Second Appeals District Court gets their lower court back in line, as they have no authority to take my home. All my God-given unalienable rights reserved without prejudice and without recourse. And then they tag basically every organization that they mentioned in the post. It's pretty crazy. Here are the pictures that are with it. This is her at the home auction when they auctioned off her house. Just a peach with a tip says, I'm so glad her adult child is free of her. Me too. Me too. So she wore a bulletproof vest or body armor to the auction of her house. And she had a little thing here that says, yes, I wore body armor because I didn't feel safe trying to stand up to Tarrant County for trying to steal my home after refusing to record my documents. This is her at the county clerk office. There's a sign on the wall in the back that says, County Clerk, Main Office, Filing, Clerk, Chattel, Mortgages, Marriage Licenses. Chattel. And she says, on the wall, they literally have chattel. Below is an affidavit they refused to record, citing they didn't know the language in my affidavit. Not their business. It is their business. They are the gatekeepers of the court. So it's interesting that they pointed out the chattel thing, but not the other things. They're the county clerk. They register all sorts of things, including, I imagine since you're in Texas, there are probably ranches in the area. They probably register their chattel there. They're not talking about humans as chattel. They're literally talking about animal chattel. But of course, she focuses on the chattel thing because she thinks that the government considers humans chattel. 3 police enforcers and 2 sheriff deputies were sent out to watch me as I had on body armor to notice the public since the county refused to record my documents. Notary presentment done by a notary that Tarrant County refused to record, citing their attorney had to approve it to be recorded because it was bullshit. I was removed from their fraudulent list, so she apparently signed up to be one of the bidders at the auction. I don't believe you can bid on your own foreclosed house for pretty obvious reasons. This is Aaron Strickland, Tarrant County recording manager who refuses to record documents on the public record and conspires with other counties to do the same across Texas. He's also served as a Marine. So much for freedom in America. He's working for a corporation, not we the people, all rights reserved. So yeah, she's not doing great. She's not doing great. So I'll continue to keep an eye on her, but she is in all of this because she's a big fan of David Strait's videos. She basically believes everything he's ever said.
Correct the errors that they make and educate them so they don't do it again.
It's just a term for all possessions. See, I was under the impression, I guess I'm wrong, I believe you. I thought chattel was just like living property, like animals that you own. But sure.
Again, the rest of the time you can be fishing. That's what I say. Unfortunately, it's kind of a full-time job for a lot of people. But all the documents that are mentioned on this, I can get to you. And that's the purpose of writing your email and stuff down. You send me a little note that says, hey, I need this. I'm at this stage. And I'll help you through that stage. Okay? That's what I'm here for. I don't want you to feel like you leave here and this is what you got and you're left on your own. You're not. Now, one thing I do want to mention is when you take a document from anyone and you use it, it is your document.
Chromatic cuttlefish. You want me to look up chattels? Will do.
It no longer is mine or whoever else you got it from. It's yours. So you have to make it yours. You have to remove stuff out of there that doesn't apply and put in what applies to you.
Okay, that's not the same contract then. They're not going to sign it because they don't. Why would they sign a contract with you if you change it to be entirely disfavorable to them? You know what I mean? Also, frankly, he's not just talking about contracts, he's talking about court documents because they consider all court documents to be contracts. They're not.
Okay, so make it yours. A lot of times, I've told this to people, I've sent them documents, they send it back to me and say, hey, can you look this over for me, make sure it's all right? And I go, well, wait a minute, what about this and this and this? Did you read this document? Did you check it to make sure everything applies to you? Because I bet it doesn't, you know? And I go from there, so.
Chattel, property goods principle. In the 1500s, the term underwent specialization in the double cattle, which was restricted to livestock, while the spelling chattel came to refer to any article of property excluding realty. Okay. That makes sense.
Just know that up front. Any legal form, you have to make it yours.
For people obsessed with contracts being fair, they like making contracts unbelievably unfair. To be clear, when they say fair, what they really mean, whether they realize it or not, is entirely in their favor. Sovereign citizens don't care about fairness in reality in the actual sense. When they say fair, usually it's a shorthand for, I need to get everything I want, otherwise it's not fair.
And again, I'm going to remind you, attorneys write forms. Everybody says, oh, do you have a template for that? Oh God, I hate that word template. I hate it with a passion. And I get that 10 times a day. Do you have a template for that? Attorneys write forms to remove the liability from them and place it upon you. They're filled with lines and boxes and things that don't belong there.
Juggle.
They're filled with language that removes their liability from them and places it upon you. A lot of people think, oh, I can just go down to the county courthouse and they've got this form that I can fill out and get my case started. And no, they're screwing you when you do that and you don't even know it. So be very careful with any form, any contract you sign. Attorneys run this world, and that's who we the people are at war with. And it's sad to say. So we are gonna talk about the 8 elements of a contract today. But when you go through these steps, I'm gonna go through it really
This doesn't seem like phone filming. Someone else might be filming too, and this might be their footage.
quick, because we didn't yesterday, we just kind
Although
of
it could be an iPhone. You guys know that, like, iPhones look pretty good, right? Like, people have shot entire feature films on iPhones.
it out. The number one most important thing is to change your status. Status, standing, and jurisdiction is everything in the law. I cannot say that enough. It's incredibly important. If you don't know who you
Are you confusing phone filming with vertical? Because you can film on your phone landscape, and you should. You should. Screens are fucking horizontal, you Philistines. What are we doing? Your eyes are like this. They're not like this. They're like this.
are.
Was he thinly veiled or overt? I don't recall if if he's just thinly veiled, he went right up to the line. I don't remember for sure though.
Don't expect to win.
Samsung's better than iPhone. I'd agree. I've only ever had Samsung phones for like the past decade at least, but the cameras are worse than iPhone cameras. I just don't care because I don't film things on my phone or take pictures often, so I'm fine with that because I like the other stuff that comes with it.
Expect to lose. That's kind of a harsh statement now that I think about it, but We walk in by general appearance, we just show up, we're asked to plead guilty or not guilty. Both are commercial terms. You never plead.
They're not commercial terms. They're the responses you give in an arraignment to decide if you want to acquiesce to the accusations and admit guilt, or if you want to have a trial, which is your right. It doesn't mean anything commercial. There is nothing commercial about it.
Plead guilty, and you never plead not guilty. You declare your innocence.
Okay, then they're gonna say, you stand mute, so we're putting in a not guilty plea. Also, if you say innocent, they'll do a not guilty, though that's not really... It's not really the terminology for a reason, but they'll understand what you mean, likely.
Good.
What's the cheese of the day? Let's go with, Mimolette. Mimolette.
Okay. Guilty and not guilty are commercial terms. You declare your innocence. All right, so the very first thing, again, is the affidavit of repudiation. Most important thing you can do. Once you send that off, it is not finished and it is not complete. You must get the certified proof of service. I recommend you send it registered mail, not certified, registered, with return receipt requested. Get the return receipt. Do the sheet that's a certified proof of service sheet, which I can give you. Once you do that, from the date that they received it, you have to give them 21 days to respond. They never respond, but on the 22nd day, you do the certified judgment of unrebutted affidavit. It's a certified judgment of unrebutted affidavit. Because they did not respond, they acquiesced, and you're...
That's not how this works. This is something that's interesting. So, in law in the United States, there is a thing where if the court or something like that, or how do I put this? If certain paperwork is filed by the prosecution and you don't respond to it, then it can be found in that situation that all of the accusations within those filings are true, right? It's a consequence to try and get people to take it seriously and to actually rebut claims that are made by the prosecution or whatever, or the court. This happened to Alex Jones, actually. That's one of the reasons he lost one of his trials against the Sandy Hook families, was because he wasn't responding to these things that the court was telling him and his attorneys to respond to. So they basically got a default judgment on them. All of the accusations were deemed true because they refused to rebut them in any way. The thing is, this doesn't work the opposite direction. Like, this is part of the difference between you as an individual and the government's power. The government has the power to decide, well, you didn't respond to this, so we're just saying that you lose by default, you know? Gavel. You can't do that in reverse. You can't send documents to the court and say, if the court doesn't respond to my thing, then I win. You're not allowed to do that. It doesn't work both ways. And you might say, well, that's not fair. It's how it works, so the system works. You can't have everybody filing random nonsense crazy bullshit with the court every day and having to have people go through it. There's a reason that we have clerks that gatekeep the filings of the court to make sure that bullshit isn't filed.
You're calling the judgment. You're judgmenting it. You put all three of those documents together, and then you go record them with the county. That's called publicly publishing them. So we publicly publish our documents. Your documents become a court of record when they're properly served, publicly published.
Documents are not a court of record. Like, it would be like saying, this headband is a Chuck E. Cheese. Like, it doesn't mean anything. What are you talking about? A court of record is a court in a courthouse with a judge where a record is kept of everything that is said during proceedings. It's not a piece of paper. A piece of paper cannot be a court of anything. It's a document.
Published and then filed. Okay? If you have no
Can a notary public certify their own documents? I actually don't know. I would hope not. I would think that that's not allowed, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of a notary, because it's supposed to be an uninterested third party. So I'm gonna guess no.
reason to file the document right away because you're not in trouble, you file it at home in your file cabinet and you wait. And you're going to use that document later, I'm sure. I'm positive.
How do notaries fit in? Sovereign citizens think that if a notary signs off on your document, that it in some way says that what's in the document is legitimate and somehow legally certified. It is not. That's not what a notary does. A notary, for those that don't know, is someone who is a professional witness to the signing of a document. Literally, they are someone who comes to you when you're signing a legal document with someone else, and they watch you sign it, check your IDs to make sure you are the person you claim to be, and then they stamp it basically with like a seal that says, okay, I have notarized this document, I witnessed its signature, and this is so if there's any sort of lawsuit or civil action regarding that contract later, and either of the party tries to say, oh, I didn't sign that, they could bring in that notary who would have paperwork and like copies of the IDs and stuff that they could come in and testify and say, no, I'm an official certified notary of the state. This is the person that signed that document. Here's the evidence from the day, etc. They're not there to analyze the document. It could be any document you're signing, technically, and they will come and they will certify that you both signed it. They're not certifying that what you wrote in the document makes any sense.
But at least it's on the public record. It's publicly published. Anyone can find it if they want to search, okay? Then, if you're able, some people aren't because of child support and other aspects, but if you're able, you go get your passport. On this document, I tell you exactly how to do a passport. I mean, I spelled it out for you because a lot of people get it wrong. Post offices are transfer stations.
Notaries can also witness certain oaths and the like. Yeah, that would make sense.
They are not who issues your passport. All they do is collect the information and they send it to the passport agency. 99.997% of the time, they're doing it for U.S. citizens. That means...
How does one become a notary public? Maybe I'll pursue a course in it. I don't think it's super difficult. My mom, when I was a kid, became a notary public because she was the manager of a bank. And for some reason, the bank wanted her to go become a notary, so it would make certain things easier at the job, I guess. I don't know if she was able to, like, witness the signing of certain documents there, probably. But it doesn't seem that hard. You went to go take classes for a little bit. There's, like, a certification exam, and then you get your stamp and stuff.
They are doing it a certain way, over and over and over and over again.
I did not come from money. I'll be clear, I wasn't, like, poor as a kid. I had material resources, but I wasn't rich either.
The same way all the time. So if you're expecting to change your status to a state national, they don't know how to do that at the post office, okay? And they can't communicate it to the guy that's issuing the...
To be clear, she was the bank manager in a rural town with, like, 1,000 people in it. It was not a big bank.
Passport. And because of that...
A lot of banks offer notarization as a service.
A lot of state nationals do not get a state national passport when they go through the post office. And they've had to learn this the hard way, okay? So you have to go to the passport agency that issues the passport, a State Department office. Unfortunately, living in Utah, your closest one is Denver. You could go to Seattle if you want to hit the coast, or you can go to San Francisco if you want to go see the freaks down there. Define state national, one who owes their allegiance
Ha ha ha, because gays, get it?
to the state. In other words, that's what you were all born, by the way. You were born as Californians and Oregonians and Utahns and Wisconsinites and Floridians and Texans. That's a state national, okay? Everyone was born that way.
No, that's not how that works. Certainly you are, like, a citizen of that state and that you, like, live there. Certainly you're a resident of that state, but you are also at the same time a citizen of the United States. It's both at the same time. You are a resident and citizen of your local city, locality, district, whatever, state, and country. It's nesting jurisdictions.
And then you grew up and you started
Video seems quiet. I'll turn him up more. Oh, I think he did get turned down somehow.
checking boxes that you're a U.S. citizen, and you volunteered to be a citizen, a person, and a resident. The definition of citizen...
You do not volunteer to be a citizen. You're a citizen being born in the United States or born to any parent that is a citizen of the United States or becoming a naturalized citizen. 14th Amendment.
City means municipal. Zen is servant. Municipal servant. Same thing as a public servant. An employee of government. That's exactly what it means. A person is a vessel or an entity, corporation, an office of. It's defined as all those things.
People are not corporations. Fun fact. Just because we have a fucked up legal system that says corporations are people does not ipso facto mean the inverse is true.
Office of. So you can think of it as you get a job on board a ship, you're an officer of that ship. You're also the signatory.
Not everyone on a ship is an officer on the ship. What? Does he think everyone on a ship is an officer?
Officer of that ship.
Wasn't he in the Navy?
So you
Didn't he claim to be in the Navy?
sign the bills of lading. You pay the bills. You pay the port taxes. That's what you do as a person. A person is not a man. In fact, the Bible says, be the man and not the person. Don't put flattering titles of person upon the man. For if you do, it's a sin and he will surely take you away. So
We found out he wasn't.
It's not to be the person. In this day and age, there are times when you pretty much have to be. I'd like it if we didn't have to be, but sometimes we have to be.
And to be clear,
right.
Vice found that. We found that on Vice, but Vice found that. So credit to Vice for looking that up.
Now just to defend ourselves and to hold our public servants accountable. That's the main time where we have to step into court. Pro se is when we're going after them. So we're going in representing our person when we're going after them. When we're defending ourselves, we're sui juris. We're of one's own rights. We're a man or a woman. Okay? All right.
What ship am I the officer of? The Lollipop. She's a good ship. Name that show!
Number 3 is a deed of reconveyance. This reconveys your ownership of your all caps name, which is your vessel, to your Christian name.
Yep.
So in other words, it's tying the two together. It's taking
TNG.
ownership. The man or woman is taking ownership of the vessel. This must be recorded to make it a court of record. If it's not recorded, you haven't taken ownership. It's that simple. You got to record your title.
Just a Peach with a tip says, my understanding is a bank manager is ultimate middleman. They have to take the abuse and tell everyone they're right while still following the rules. They seem to be the worst or the best of people.
Now, if possible, I am a firm believer in a patent of nativity.
Think of all the lives this man has destroyed. I think about it a lot.
Reason being,
it's a lot easier to ruin people's lives than to help fix them. And weirdly, you seem to make a lot more money doing the first than the second.
is a patent of nativity shows that you existed on this land before there even was a government. Not everybody can do that. For those that do genealogy, it's pretty easy. You know, if you can trace the history, and I could show you mine on my iPad, but mine has my family crest on it from Germany from the 14 or 1500s. And then it has my father's lineage and my mother's lineage. Back, I only went...
Part of my family's from Germany. In fact, my dead last name is German. I wonder if my family had a stupid crest.
back on that patent of nativity prior to 1776. That's as far
I know there was a German pop star back in the early 2000s that had the same last name as me, and I always wondered if we were related in some way,
back as I
even
care
distantly.
if you go. But if you can trace your family on these shores back before 1776, then you're grandfathered. Okay? Your DNA was on these shores before government even existed. These documents, what they do is they show intent. Intent, I was going to go over that today anyway, might as well do it right now. Intent is very important in the law.
Not Hasselhoff, no.
If you don't have intent,
We've been looking for freedom. You guys remember when David Hasselhoff was at the Berlin Wall collapsing? History's weird, man.
to commit a crime, you really didn't commit a crime. A court has to prove you had intent to commit it.
Was my family part of no nobility, Hannah? It would explain the very inbred look of my entire family.
Okay. So any of these documents...
That's a self-burn, too. Those are rare.
Annabon writes us 928 docs, those kind of things. Those don't do anything for you as far as changing your status. But they prove your intent that you wanted to change your status. Does that make sense? Without an affidavit to the Secretary of State, as far as the United States law is concerned...
Remember when Katy Perry became an astronaut? I will die on the hill that anyone who is a passenger on these private space flights that has nothing to do with the operation of the craft in any way is not an astronaut. They are passengers on a spaceship. You know what I mean? We don't call everyone who gets on a cruise ship a sailor. You know what I mean? We are at a point where we are going to diverge on language with this, and astronauts will be the people in control of the operations of the craft, and people on board who are just civilians are just people on the craft.
You haven't changed your status. They define your status in Title 8, Section 1101 of the U.S. Code, and says, here it is, here's the definitions, here's all the different things you can be. And then we have the unalienable right of self-determination, which is our free agency, to pick which one we want to be, and then notify them in writing under the penalty of perjury, which is an affidavit, and let them know who we want to be. Somebody at the Department of State takes those affidavits and they put it into the computer system. Usually takes them 30 to 60, sometimes 90 days. Who knows how long with COVID. But they put it into the system eventually, and they can pull it up. Police. Yeah, that's a terrible name.
It takes intelligence and so much training to be an actual astronaut. Not even just that, because you could be very intelligent and very in shape. You need to have the right psychological profile too, because it's such a stressful situation for many people. Most people, I don't think, could do it, frankly. So you have to have a specific, like, very, very stable mental state. You have to be able to take a lot of stress. You got to be able to handle crazy stuff and be cool and calm and collected and not freak out.
Yeah.
You need to have the right stuff. I actually haven't seen that movie before. I need to.
Cheap surrender. Okay. So... You know, it probably could. It's good if you can do it on the paternal and the maternal side.
There's also a height limit because sending large people to space is very expensive and making larger space station parts even more so. Huh. I guess he was just the right size to be a stormtrooper then.
Both, all the way down. Okay, now, if you can't do a patent and nativity, you'll notice on the sheet that I put if possible, and then a declaration, optional. If you can't do the patent and nativity, do a declaration. Declare who you are and that you belong here, okay? And record it. If you can do 2 to 3 documents, and I prefer 3, try and always achieve 3 things.
Yeah, this is one of his weird rules. He thinks you need to argue for things 3 times before the court will give it to you. Like the first 2 times are a trick and a test. The 3rd time's legitimate. It's crazy. It's some sort of magical fey logic. It's not how anything works.
One of them changes your status and the other 2 prove your intent. So if you've got multiple things that prove your intent, it's like having multiple witnesses. This was my intent to do this. Nobody forced me into it. Nobody coerced.
They should not have sent Shatner to space. I would agree. Shatner's a big piece of shit, unfortunately.
Forced me into it. Number
Apparently, he's allegedly going to be coming back to do something Star Trek related, and I don't want him to.
6, if you are a property.
And let me be clear, Captain Kirk is one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. I am a Kirk person over a Picard person. I love Captain Kirk as a fictional character. But man, William Shatner, what is his deal?
The owner.
Yeah, Nimoy deserved it. Nimoy was the best of them. Nimoy was the best. Shatner's the worst. Sulu's up there. All of them were pretty good except for Shatner.
And that doesn't just mean a house. Could mean your car, household goods, anything. If you're a property owner, you need to have your superior title. So if you have your house, you need to put it back in
I know, Harold Edelman. I could. I'm not that interested.
in original land patent. Now, what does that
Do I consider Starfleet to be astronauts? Yes.
mean? Put it back in the original land patent. It's kind of
It's a very different context, though, where the entire concept would be a little different. I think definitions would shift a lot, but like I would consider them that.
vague. No, the land patent is underlying the land. Someone.
My lovely wife is out getting stuff for Memorial Day cookout and stuff, and I think she bought me cheese. I'm very excited about that.
Someone many years ago, usually in the 1800s, patented a piece of land. Maybe it was 360 acres or 640 acres or 160 acres, right? That land was given to that person for labor that he put into it and a small fee that he had to pay. And usually that land patent was signed by a president of the United States to that person's himself, his heirs, successors, and or assigns forever.
Yeah, that's not how it works, though, anymore. Contracts sometimes, or rather legal documents even, can say forever, and then the law changes, and then it's not valid anymore. Like, legal things can be overturned. I don't know if you know this.
So even the government can't take it back.
Wanna bet? They're the government. They can and they do. Every day.
Okay? Now, by posting the land patent number on your property, and remember, now you may just own that little lot.
I guess what frustrates me a lot about this is if you're against property taxes because you see people having their homes taken away because they can't afford them anymore because they paid them off years ago and the property taxes keep going up. I understand that. Go try and get that done then. Don't just make up imaginary fucking shit about it.
On the corner, and it was 160 acres, right? So it's a part and parcel thereof, and the lot has a meets and bounds description. It says from this marker that might be way over there, it's so many feet to your property corner. And then it's so many feet from that property corner to that property corner, to that property corner, to that property corner, and back to that one. That's a meets and bounds description, okay? So you have to put it in meets and bounds. And like I read off on this tax statement yesterday, this man's property, he's got 3 lots.
You've seen sovereign citizens cite the Magna Carta. I see that more often from like freemen of the land in the UK or Australia. I've seen a few in Canada do it. So Commonwealth countries are more likely to have sov-cits that will cite the Magna Carta. But I have seen a few Americans do it, and that's always hilarious.
And it sits on 2 land.
Like, I don't even think most Americans know what the Magna Carta is. It's almost impressive, the sov-cits.
Patent number.
They're wrong about its application and the fact that they think it applies in the US, but still, or even that it applies the way it originally did in the UK, because it's a very different thing. It's more of a historical document than anything, but
4743 and 60.
Phoenix, thanks for 195 stream streak.
47. But what did they change his legal description to? Lot 76, a stable acre subdivision. Is that a meets and bounds? No, that's SMU. That's shit made up.
Everything is made up. Did you know that? Did you know that concepts that exist within the social world of human politics and relations are made up? That's pretty cool. Did you know that even land patents that you were talking about are shit someone made up? And then later, people made different laws that changed how we deal with property? Because at the time that that was happening, do you know what? Those areas weren't even states. You're talking about stuff that was generally used to try and get people to go and expand west during Manifest Destiny era. So the states weren't even states yet, so they didn't even have a time to set their laws.
Okay?
Sorry, I'm feeling weird today.
This is what they go by. They create an invoice with a whole bunch of errors, and we write them a check and send it in. Pay our property taxes. Now we just acquiesce to all their errors. So they stole the property. The county steals the property on behalf of the state from you. You get a warranty deed, an abstract of title. What is an abstract? That's right. It's something that represents something. It's a fallacy. It's a color of law.
What?
Okay. So
No, why would that be that? Abstract doesn't mean that.
you get a warranty deed and you go, oh man, I own my first home. Great. And you don't even own it.
This is where the Republic of Lady gets it from, this exact section of his talk. Yeah.
The state can come in and take it away from you, foreclose on you, get you if you don't pay a couple years back taxes. I don't know.
There
what
are
these
clauses of the Magna Carta still in effect. I looked it up. Which ones?
houses around here
In brief.
go for, but let's just say that's $300,000 for that corner house on that lot on the park, right?
Nothing to apologize for. You're expressing our frustrations too. No, I just thought I was being cringe. I guess that's most of my streams though, so
I don't know what it's worth.
whatever.
I don't know property values around here. But let's just say it's worth $300,000. You get a property tax bill in the mail for $1,307.73, and you don't pay it for 3 years. You owe $3,000, $4,000, roughly just under $4,000.
That's actually, that would be pretty low property taxes for that property. Either that or Michigan property taxes are really high, but I don't think they are. I don't know though.
$4,000 total. And the county comes in and takes your $300,000 house for $4,000. Is that right? No. But they can do it because you didn't own it in the first place. You have, in the law, it states this, you have the right to make a profit and incur a loss. That's your privilege for buying that house. You might have put $50,000 cash down and owe $250,000, right? But you have the right to make a profit and incur a loss.
Clause 1, protection of the church, and Clause 9, liberties of London, Clause 29, due process and justice. Cool.
I don't think that's fair.
Thanks for looking that up.
So let's do something about it.
Similar to allodial status?
Yes, it would be considered allodial status. The king's land. You own it.
Allodial title is the thing that Cataspinda did to her property before she got evicted as well. Foreclosed on, I guess I should say.
Nobody else can. Allodial.
Similar to a land patent in that it's just an antiquated way of registering your property that no longer applies in the United States.
Ron Gibson wrote a book about called Land Patents. Ron's a good friend of mine. I've known him since 2009 or 10. He and I put our properties in land patent about the same period of time, back about 2009 or 10. Anyway, he went on to study the process and ended up writing a book about it and ended up being a professor at the University of Southern Oregon down in Medford, teaching land patents, mainly to the miners. Miners, and those guys want to know all about land patents because they want the mineral rights, right? Anyway, in the first 100 pages of his book is nothing but law.
Is he another rabbit hole? I haven't looked into him yet, so I'm not sure.
One paragraph after another of how that once you have it in land patent, they can't take your property from you. There's 100 pages, case law, just in the front of his.
Okay. It doesn't matter how long it is. It's what's in it, right? It's not about the length. It's about it's about the content. You can cite 100 cases, but if you do so incorrectly or by cherry picking specific sections that don't apply to the current context you're trying to argue, then you've basically just wasted everyone's time. And that's generally what sovereign citizens do. They cherry pick, they misunderstand case law, they misapply it, and then it looks like they have all these documents and they bring them to court or show them to cops and go, look at how much evidence I have, not understanding that because you have a lot of words on paper doesn't mean you have an argument that's a winner. You can have as many words as you want. It doesn't inherently make them convincing. H. Baird says, if your property gets foreclosed on, you can get it back by 5 closing it. Order my course for more information.
Book.
I've actually already gone to 7 closed, so my system is a little bit better than yours.
On page 114, he teaches you how.
Freyline says, we've talked about how Sobsit cargo cult the law, but they do the same thing with activism. They just use the vocabulary and some actions of actual activism without understanding why or how those things are done.
To put your property in land patent.
I'm sorry, who was the author?
Ron Gibson. If you want the book, it's $45, and I can get you
They always charge so much for their goddamn books.
either his email or a lot of people PayPal me, and I send it down and get the book to you. But
Does that put our mortgages or our homes in danger that we have in now? Because if somebody went back and found the original grantee and found the patent, they could take our property, right?
you know, they can if they had right at some point in time. Let's just say it was an owner who owned your house 30 years ago. And now all of a sudden he says, I'm 65 years old. I need a place to live the rest of my life. He had a security interest in it at one time.
That's actually very funny as a question, implying like, yeah, doesn't this mean that someone who used to own the house could come and kick me out?
He could go accept the last grant deed and the patent, kick your ass out.
So my understanding of the current system, if we own real estate and we want our children to benefit from it, they have to pay state taxes on that if we bequeath it to them. That's without the land patent option. That's real estate law.
Well, sure, but they don't own it either. The state owns it. Yeah, you're not giving them anything except the opportunity to make a profit or incur loss. In other words, they'd have to sell it in a high market to actually for you to give them anything. Otherwise, you cost them something if they lose it or, anyway.
The kids didn't pay anything for it, so any amount they sold it for would be a gain.
If they've got to put in a road or a highway, that was basically written in the law way back when there was land patents. They wrote it in for railroad purposes, wagon roads, postal roads, all those reasons. And really every road here is a postal road. People don't know that. Oh, eminent domain, the difference is they've got to pay you market value for it. If you have the land patent, they got to pay you market value.
Okay, so
They can't condemn your property.
Aren't they already supposed to offer market value under eminent domain? Let me look this up. I'm fairly certain, but I gotta check. Yeah, they're supposed to buy it for fair market value under eminent domain. Now, I'm sure that the government would probably try to argue the lower end of whatever the market value would be, but they are supposed to make a determination as to what the market value is of the property, and then there might be a stage where there can be some argument about it. I don't know, but they're already supposed to do market value.
They've got to pay you market value, but you have to sell. If you fight them on selling, then they could condemn it. But if you don't declare war, you just say, all right, here's 2 appraisals. This is what it's worth. Give me the money. You can put in your road. There's not much you can do about that. But
Just a Peach says, remember that land in most of the world that was entitled owned by a lord is no longer because they decided paying property taxes was better for everyone, including them, instead of forcing their children to have to tax the people who live on their land.
well, get them as high as you want. Well, the point is, the way our country was founded on Christian principles is that
The country wasn't founded on Christian principles. It was mainly Enlightenment ideas. Read the Federalist Papers, you fucking loser. Read a book instead of writing bullshit of your own.
giving up the property is for the greater good of all. I know that's hard. That's harsh, actually, to have to say that to you, but it is. And that's the way the original laws were written way back when. You give it up for railroads, for postal roads, for things that are to the greater good of all of us, and you give it up. But if you've got a land patent, your status is right, you should get fair market value. They can't come in and offer you 50 grand for a $300,000 house just to put a road in. Well, it has to be third-party, independent, market value people. So you got to get 2 or 3 values. On your car, or trailers, or whatever's licensed
Hats off. What do you want me to purple witch hat? Will do.
on the road.
Oh, this is going to confuse the white balance like fucking crazy. Watch how crazy this is going to get.
Typically, you need to have your MCO or MSO, your manufacturer's statement of origin. In Europe, they call it the manufacturer's certificate of origin. So it depends on if it's a Volvo or if it's a Ford or a Chevy, right? But it's either an MSO or an MCO.
See?
Most of the time, it's MSO.
You said we can't get that unless it's brand new.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
here's the issue.
White balance is fucked. I'm blue today.
Once the state gets it, they don't tend to give it up. So how do you get around that? Salvage. Maritime salvage laws. Okay?
How would you do that, though?
You get a mechanic to lie like hell and say it's totaled.
Literally openly telling them to commit fraud and involve someone else in their fraud.
So you see that Lexus right there? That sucker's totaled. Yeah.
And they're all
see?
laughing about potentially committing fraud.
And that's what you have to do to get a salvage title. Once you get a salvage title in hand, don't register it. There are some people that are woke up that'll pay more for one with a salvage title than a good one. Because they don't have to register it. You've already done their work for it.
You do have to register it. It's just illegal. You're just driving dirty? Is that what that means? Riding dirty? I don't know songs. Anyway, you can't drive unregistered. That's illegal. Even if you have a quote-unquote salvage title, if you get a car that's a salvage title, you are required to re-register it. Wannabe says, you're still lovely. Thank you. I don't know about that, but I appreciate it.
Form. So all you got to do is find somebody that's awoke. If you don't, if you find somebody that wants to go register it, they're not going to pay as much, right? To take dominion over the air.
The colors are changing because the camera I'm using has trouble with white balance when there's like a juxtaposition of colors like this. Like I think orange and purple are complementary colors and they're on opposite ends of kind of the color spectrum, so it can't auto white balance correctly for both of the colors at the same time. So it just kind of does this. Woo!
You must have a trust. If you don't have an express, which is a written trust, then they will imply a trust. So since we're here, this is a good point to tell the story.
These are the same people who all, quote, lost their guns in a lake, remember? Oh, God, yeah.
Those that weren't here, and I'll tell it fairly quickly, so pay
I wonder how many unregistered guns there are in the United States. What percentage out of total guns in the United States are unregistered? I'd be so curious.
All right. April 22nd, I think it was. I taught just a one-day class at the Department of Justice. And after I was done, a little attorney came up to me and he said,
It is scary to know, because you'd imagine the kind of person who would want to be like unregistered and have unregistered guns is also the kind of person who would want a lot of guns. Like in my head, the personality profile of, I don't want to register my guns with the government guy, also likes to have a lot of guns, you know?
said, can I tell you a story of what I learned from my father? And
You don't even have to register rifles in Michigan? Yeah.
his history was, his father was a judge and his grandfather was a judge. He came from a long line of judges and he was a graduate of Georgetown Law and he went to work for the Department of Justice. So that's his story. But he said when he was 16 years old, he got to sit in on one of his dad's classes and his dad was teaching new judges who had just been voted in or appointed or whatever. And his dad said that when a man walks into a courtroom the very first thing he sees is a little plaque up on the judge's desk that says, Your Honorable Bob Smith, or whatever his name is. The reason for that is honor is the first hat the judge has to put on. That's his first job title, Your Honor. You can't have trust without honor. You can't have honor without trust. So the three jurisdictions being land, air, and water.
Can I do a heavy Michigander accent for that gun guy giving y'all's militias? I don't know how to do a Michigan accent. Like, to be clear, I'm sure I have one, and I'm sure I do it, but in my head, because this is just where I live, in my head I can't be like, what's a Michigan accent? Because to me it's just normal, so I can't pinpoint the specific little verbal, like, changes and specificities of a Michigan accent that make it that. Does that make sense?
The land being common law.
I'm a fish, so I don't know I'm wet because I've always been in water.
Common to all mankind is property, equity, and rights. The air being ecclesiastical or canon law, which is trust law, and the water being...
Hold on, I'll look this up. Now I'm curious. What do I sound like to other people? Let me see.
Did you know there is a Michigan accent?
Everyone has an accent, you idiot. It comes with your ability to speak.
I'm the author of an article on the Michigan accent, and so many Michiganders related to it that it actually went viral from people sharing it on social media. I have a very light accent, but my mother's is very thick. It sounds a little bit like a mixture of the accents from Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Ontario up in Canada.
Okay.
Here are some examples of Michigan's pronunciations and slang words. Instead of saying Kroger or Meyer, sometimes we say Kroger's or Myers. This is probably from ownership. For example, you have Ford who owned Ford Motor Vehicles, so we would refer to it as Fords. And Mr. Meyer owned Thrifty Acres, so we refer to it as Myers. One big aspect I found about the Michigan accent is that it seems like we like to save time to make things easier to say. Sometimes we'll shorten words to make it kind of smashed together into one smaller word, or we'll actually make a word longer by inserting vowels to get over awkward bits. For example, we would say realtor instead of realtor. To me, it's very hard to say realtor. It's realtor. Again, with nuclear, it's nuclear. It sounds really odd to someone not from Michigan, but nuclear is, I guess, easier for Michiganders to say. I'm not really sure why that is. As I said before, we will shorten words to make them easier. I hear mere a lot. One word that seems to annoy a lot of people.
Okay, I can kind of, like, I know the ope is a thing. Ope, I'm from Michigan. No. I know when I say motherfucker, it comes out. Motherfucker? You gonna come here to Michigan and try and tell me what's what? You gonna go get a Kogel? You gonna go get a Kogel hot dog over at the Coney dog stand? I don't know. I got nothing.
Be in admiralty or commerce, which is contract law. Those are our three jurisdictions.
Is there a point to this? Is there a point to anything? Bittergrin says, my mom's from Michigan and I inherited the ope.
He said, when a man walks into the courtroom, the Your Honor, playing the part of Your Honor, is looking for the man to have an express trust in hand. But if the man doesn't walk in with an express trust, which they seldom do, then the judge implies a trust. Where the judge is the executor.
There's no trust. There's no executor. You are literally a person, a defendant in a criminal trial. It's not deeper than that. There's no secret hats. There's no trust with trustees and beneficiaries. You are a human being who is accused of a crime, and you are going to an arraignment to plead as a human living person.
The man's a trustee who somehow mismanaged the trust on behalf of the beneficiary, who's the prosecution. So therefore, because of his mismanagement, he owes the prosecution something, the beneficiary something. But if the man walks in with an express trust in hand that clearly states who the executor is, and it's not the judge, And it clearly states who the trustee is and has an acceptance of the trustee to be the trustee, so it can't break the veil of the trust. Tells exactly who the beneficiary is, and it's not the prosecution. And it describes the property to be managed and how it's supposed to be managed. Then there's nothing left for the judge to adjudicate in that.
Yes, there is. Whatever crime you're being accused of, none of what you said meant anything. There is no trust in any of this. The judge is a representative of the court who is there to make determinations of law. There's no trust. There's no beneficiary. He's just using lots of words to sound like he knows some big secret, so you give him money.
Jurisdiction of the heir, because he's got his express trust in hand. So the judge swaps hats and he goes to a judge hat. Now he's looking for one or two things. Is there a victim? Then there's a crime. It's criminal. It goes to trial. If there's not, it's civil. And we know in this country that just about all crimes are civil.
Nope, that's incorrect. Crimes are criminal. That's why they're called crimes. They're criminal. They're crimes.
It goes civil, which means he's looking for the man to walk in with his superior titles in hand. Now think about that. That's not just, if it's a car case, it's your MSO. If it's your house case, it's a patent or a grant deed, right? But what if it's about your kids? You got your birth certificate and your claim of right and your claim to
Did he basically say most crimes don't have a victim? Yes, I think that's what he was getting at.
vessel is your
Sovereign citizens believe that crimes have to have a direct victim in the moment for them to be criminal. They are incorrect.
property. It's your superior titles. It's your superior title. Did you bring your birth certificate in? I mean, you might need it to pay the debt. See? So it's your superior titles in hand. If you did walk in with them, then he can't apply an abstract of title. So therefore, there's nothing for him to adjudicate. And he takes that hat off and he puts on a Mr. Administrator hat. Now he's in the jurisdiction of the water. He's looking to see if you have your business affairs in order. Do you have your copyrights and your trademarks? Do you have your contracts? Are your contracts in order? If you've taken dominion over that and your business affairs are in order, there's nothing for him to adjudicate. So he takes that hat off and he throws his hammer down and he leaves the room. Case closed. But if we walk in taking dominion, leaving them nothing to adjudicate, we win every time.
I want to ask a sovereign citizen what they think about attempted murder as a crime. Because there's no victim. No one died. It's attempted murder. You failed. There's no victim. No one got hurt. Should that not be criminal? Do they get to just go and give a second shot at that? Like, what do you think about that? Or any crime that's like an attempted blank.
So that's the key to winning a court case. It's taking dominion over all three jurisdictions. Land is common law to all mankind. It's property, equity, and rights. It's things given to us by God. Everything we have was either grown or it was mined. Everything came from God. We didn't make anything. We might have formed it into something, but everything was given by Him. So He is always the executor in my trust. Okay, the trust has to contain certain elements.
You can't, I don't know if I need to say this, you can't make God the executor of a trust because it's not an entity that is a human being recognized by the court. Now, courts are secular in the United States, ideally. The idea is that you don't, make determinations on anyone's faith. They're not like directly saying God doesn't exist. They're just saying you can't list God as like things in lawsuits. You can't really list God as things on legal documents. And the justification for this is that usually when someone's listed on a legal document or something, it's because they are supposed to be responsible for some aspect of an agreement, right? Or responsible for some sort of contract, whatever. And you can't contact God. The court can't subpoena God. So you can't list God on lawsuits unless you happen to know George Burns, I suppose.
Has to have an executor. It has to have a trustee. The trustee is called a fiduciary. A fiduciary is the highest form of law. When you have a fiduciary responsibility over another, a judge can't get in between those. Okay? A fiduciary. Fiduciary. Hey, I speak to farm animals.
How do you know you can't subpoena God until you try? Where's God's address? Where do you send the subpoena? He doesn't have a listed address.
I don't pronounce
Apparently, omnipotence doesn't count.
things right all the time.
Omniscience.
The trustee is a fiduciary. Yeah. Okay.
The
You
Vatican. Ooh, Protestants are not going to like that.
must have a written acceptance by the trustee to be the trustee. Now, this is what most people leave out of their trusts, and this is why good attorneys break a trust veil. They break the veil and hold you personally responsible.
They're holding you personally responsible because that's how the law works. It has nothing to do with any sort of trust. There's no veil to break. You are a person, a human being, and therefore the laws of the place you are in apply to you by respect of the fact that the government there holds power and will use it to enforce the law.
To be the trustee. You can't just take it upon yourself. You have to accept it. It's not really a letter. It's actually...
Reality show. We take a team of 12 sovereign citizens. We airdrop them into Pyongyang. We see how long it takes them to get arrested and how they handle it.
more like an affidavit.
Yes.
And it's an acceptance of the trustee. I have a copy of it. We can email it to you.
Which is,
If someone else appoints you as trustee, you still have to accept the trustee. I mean, I have the Strait Familia God Trust, Strait Family God Trust. Okay? God is the executor. It's ran by righteous principles. I have a property list that's attached to that covers any property you could possibly ever own now or in the future. Okay? And then I have an acceptance that I'm the trustee, and then my heirs, successors, and or assigns forever.
That seems immoral. Yeah, I should probably just say it as a joke then, instead of the serious way I said it, where I have the resources and will to do that.
Would be my kids, my grandkids, on down, forever.
beneficiary.
They're the beneficiaries.
So now as you buy more property, you have to now do some kind of act.
No, my property list covers it all. Anything I ever would do in the future. The trust must show the property, assets, and income of the trust must be clearly stated. Describe how the trust should be managed. The trusts are signed in the center of the document. Trust should be recorded and anchored to the land if possible. So make them a court of record, anchor them to the land. Trusts are private. Even though you're making it public, what you're doing is notifying them that there is a trust. Now, you do not have to file the trust itself. You can actually write up a separate document, which is the notice of existence of trust. And
Was there a case where they went through the steps to show that there was no way to subpoena God, or was it just part of a movie? There have been actual lawsuits before where people have attempted to sue God, and they always get thrown out because the court has no way to get in contact with God. That's a real thing in real life.
record it. You can do that.
Or they list God. Like frankly, there's a lot of kind of mentally ill people in the United States, everywhere. But, you know, in the United States, we have a lot too. Especially we have very, very, very poor mental health care. Healthcare in general, but definitely mental health care. So yeah, you'll see some pretty crazy legal filings sometimes. They get passed around occasionally online that are clearly from someone that's ill, and they'll sue like God or Satan, sometimes both. They'll sue all sorts of like religious or fictional things. It's interesting.
Or you can
I've seen people try to sue the Illuminati before. I've seen people try to sue God, the deep state.
record your trust. There's nothing in your trust to hide. Go ahead and just record it. If there's something you don't want known,
I should probably pull some of those for tinfoil at some time. That might be interesting.
maybe you don't want your kids' names known, then don't record it. It's up to you. You can record a notice of an existence of a trust. In 1791 was written the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. That is my gun permit. That is my concealed weapons permit.
Okay, that's not how that works, because states are allowed to have certain restrictions. The Supreme Court has found, and other courts have found, that it's not necessarily an infringement on your Second Amendment rights to have certain restrictions or registration requirements, things of that nature.
Okay? I don't need a concealed weapons permit. I don't need a gun permit. Don't need to tell them what I can own and what I can't own. I don't care if it's a bump stock or a magazine that holds 50 rounds or 100, okay? Instead of 10, like in California.
That's funny. He's a fan of Trump, isn't he? Didn't Trump sign something to ban bump stocks?
You can only have 10 rounds.
They just,
I don't even own anything that holds 10 rounds, okay? If the military
Did all those guns save your life?
can have it, I can have it. If it's an M1 tank or an A10, I'll take it, okay?
that's true.
And they can't tell me any different because I can have anything as a militia that our military can have.
But you have to be a militia.
We all are militia,
Yeah, I know.
like it or not. Every man of able-bodied
You
age.
don't have to be declared militia.
You were declared a militia in the Constitution. So the minute you're a state citizen, state national,
Curious, if you were like an agency in a state he lived in and you came across this video, could you show the part of this video where he's talking about not registering guns to a judge and get a warrant to go search his house for unregistered firearms? If there's any sort of like requirement for that in the state he lives. I'm just curious, you know? No?
or a U.S. citizen, you're part of the militia. So, yes, they do. The FBI doesn't, but they're not government. The FBI is a private for-profit corporation.
You don't think it's probable cause? Like, could you go on TV and be like, I have... I don't even know a comparison.
a corporate charter?
It's interesting that you can just incriminate yourself openly on camera. A little weird.
Do you know they have no authority to even exist? I have a letter from the Library of Congress that said the FBI was created by a secretary at the Department of Justice, a secretary that was not appointed by the president.
Yeah, this isn't true. I had to look this up at some point. Hold on.
Nor appointed by the head of the Department of Justice, nor by Congress. Therefore, they have no authority to make law. And a secretary created the FBI in 1908 to protect
The Attorney General created the FBI. The Attorney General created the FBI.
the deep state. They follow up on 6 basic crimes that the deep state commits to cover up crimes for the deep state. And I don't care if this is on video to the whole freaking world, all right? They have no corporate charter to even exist, and when they asked Congress for one, they were denied. See, you know what gives the FBI authority? They walk in with their suit and tie and the best forensics in the whole world, and they walk up to the sheriff and they intimidate the shit out of him. And they say, we're taking over the case. And they do it with authority. And the sheriff goes, okay, it's yours.
The sheriff could deny them, though, too.
Yes, he could.
He's the
He could tell him to get the hell out of his county.
Yeah.
But he
No, they cannot. If the feds come to you, like, the feds have authority. The feds will get authority if they want authority over your particular case in your local county or whatever. A sheriff is not going to be successful in trying to kick out the FBI. We're about halfway through the stream, by the way. If you could do me a favor on YouTube, if you haven't already, hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. And if you want to support the stream, you can always do so on YouTube by memberships or super chats. On Twitch, you can use subscriptions or bits. And we are doing a Patreon and YouTube member stream after this. So if you want to be a part of that and hang out with me, you can always become a member on YouTube or a paid member on Patreon.
doesn't,
Hey, Nemesaur.
because he's weak, because he didn't have any law classes, kindergarten through 12th grade either. They're serious. They don't know their job. You know who comes in the sheriff's departments and trains the sheriffs and their deputies? The county attorney. The county attorney trains them. I'm telling you, attorneys run everything in this country.
Who else would you want to train cops about the law? They went to law school. they're a person who knows the law, and they know the laws of that particular area as well as the state stuff. So who would you like the cops to be taught by about law, if not people who are experts on the law?
They run all the police departments. That's why it says police on the side of their car. It's policy, revenue, enforcement, collection agent. That's all they are. They have no de jure authority at all. They're de facto. None. Government operates through the consent of the government. Since governments have chosen to incorporate themselves, they must follow the same rules as any other corporation. The rules, codes, statutes, and ordinances are not law, they're corporate bylaws. They're for employees of the corporation to follow. So they make you a citizen, or by your own consent and agreement, and therefore you're an employee of government, so you got to follow the same rule they do. You got to follow all the statutes and all the rules and all the policies and all the codes and everything else because you're an employee. You're no different than them. Yet the United States Code was written and passed by we the people through our legislator to hold our public servants accountable, and they, at the Department of Justice, come after you and they write a whole bunch of United States code in there that they're holding you accountable for this code and this code and this code, and you, oh shoot, I'm in trouble. Call a lawyer. And then you go to jail, and they put you in jail because of these codes. These codes don't even apply to a man or a woman. They don't apply to a free man. They don't apply to
They apply to anyone in that area.
a state national at all. As a state national, you have limited diplomatic immunity as long as you don't kill somebody, rape, beat them over the head with something. Okay?
I also, since he brought up like he's bringing up the Constitution a lot and the we the people thing, I know that Americans, the way Americans in grade school and high school and stuff get taught about American history is very flattened, you know? It's telling a very simplified, almost mythological version of the story to some extent. I'm almost afraid to like talk about this to other Americans because it's so weird how we get taught this stuff. I know people who've gone to college know this, but like not everyone in America was on board with the Constitution and like breaking free from Britain. Many people were, maybe even the majority. I don't know the exact split. Yeah, mythological is probably the better word. We very much amplify things. So, like, yes, I agree with the Constitution. I genuinely believe the ideal that, like, all people are created equal. They didn't follow through on that, but in broad terms, I agree with that, and I think it's a better place to start out from, legally speaking, than England at the time or whatever, and trying to move away from, like, royalty and into civil government structure where people have a say. Great. But still, at the time, not everyone was on board with that. So to say we the people, it's almost like they rhetorically are acting as though everyone in America at the time was on board. Like most conflicts in human history, the American Revolutionary War was won because at some point during the fighting, one person gave up because they couldn't deal with the losses, and then the dominant political power who had the physical and military might to hold the area got to decide what the government was. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't some magical thing where everyone in the country came together and everyone agreed and everyone voted on the Constitution. It was a rebellion, a revolution against the English done by very specific people towards very specific purposes. They used military strength to be able to achieve their goals by fighting off the opposing forces, and then they were the primary shapers of that government. Like, rhetorically, the we the people stuff is good, but it doesn't literally mean that everyone agreed on everything. It's a little weird.
Okay? Unless you injure another party, there's no crime. Okay? This is where we got to wake up.
That was the Declaration. Thank you, Harold Edelman. But you know what I mean. I'm talking generally about the philosophical ideas surrounding the founding of the country.
I get a little revved up, don't I? What is this? What I'm looking for is it's de jure. It's de jure. What is United States? Yes. It is de facto. De facto is without fact.
That's the opposite of what de facto means. De facto means in fact. De facto means in fact, not without fact. It means in fact. He has literally reversed the meaning of the term. I'm assuming what he's doing is he's breaking down the word, and if you look up D as a prefix, it is often affixed to certain words in English to establish meaning no or none. So he's using that as a general rule and applying it to this word, even though that's not what it means at the beginning of this word. Oh, fuck. I only speak English and I hate it.
Juris is right law. De jure is right.
It's in law. In law!
So the one are rights, okay? Now, this is a corporation. It is a subsidiary corporation of the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia is a subsidiary corporation of the Crown, Inc.
No, that's literally not true.
Okay? The Crown, Inc. It is, D.C. is its own city, nation, state. Manhattan Island is its own city, nation, state.
Manhattan is absolutely not that.
Westminster is its own city, nation, state, and the Vatican is its own city, nation, state. These are called the four pillars.
Yep, this is another thing that Mel Fletch is into. She mentioned this in her videos, the belief that, like, each of these pillars... This is a big conspiracy thing, by the way. This is like a New World Order conspiracy that he's talking about. And basically within this... Sorry, I say basically a lot. Within this, they believe that the Vatican will be the pillar that is in charge of the New World Order religion. London will be in charge of... What was it? New World Order finance. I think New York was also finance. And then DC will be the pillar about the military or something. And these are all parts of devising the New World Order. It's all bullshit, if I need to say that.
All right.
So Manhattan is part of that four pillar.
Manhattan is not. Manhattan is owned by the United Nations, which is owned by the Crown.
No, it's not. The United Nations has a headquarters in Manhattan. Is it in Manhattan or is it somewhere else in New York? Is it Manhattan? Either way, they don't even own the property that the UN sits on, I don't think. I'm pretty sure that's still like the cities and they just let the UN use it.
And it actually goes through a chain. The Council of Foreign Relations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the United Nations.
Just a Peach with a tip says, Maine becoming a state is because the governor of Massachusetts was sympathetic to the British. It was part of the Missouri Compromise.
The Crown. Ultimately, all of those are owned by the Pindar. It's on the dollar. It's the all-seeing eye. There's 13 blocks here. This is a council of 13. There's 300 blocks here. It's a council of 300. If I drew a dashed line right here and I drew a line down from there representing corporations going from the bottom to the top.
Nemosaur says, Manhattan is owned by the Muppets. They took it back in the 80s. Ah, yes, I've seen the documentary about that.
As people rise to a position of power and authority, they get corrupted. They start committing the 7 deadly sins. They are now controlled by the Council of 300.
That's just insane.
Bottom to the top. As people rise to a position of power and authority, they get corrupted. They start committing the 7 deadly sins. They are now controlled by the Council of 300.
What a genuinely deranged thing to say. I love English again. He did it. He said something so stupid and outlandish. I now love English again. We did it.
Council of 300 is controlled by the Council of 13, which is controlled by the Pindar.
Also, the council has never contacted me despite me indulging in many of the 7 sins, so...
The Pindar used to be the Queen of England, the Queen of Holland, and the Vatican. Pope Benedict removed the Vatican from the Pindar. It's the Queen of England, the Queen of Holland, and TVM. Now, he is not the rightful person to belong in that position. He will be removed, and I believe he has been removed. but I don't have confirmation on it yet. Benedict did a lot of great things for the world, right in his last few days. Okay?
Was that done through a papal bull?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, he literally dissolved all corporations in the world, is what he did.
Benedict did.
Yes, because when you look at corporations, this is an interesting thing. You go start a corporation, right? ABC company, I don't care what it is. You register it with the state. It's now under the state's corporation. It's a subsidiary corporation. The state's under the United States Corporation, which is under DC's, which is under the Crown. Your corporation's under the Crown. Every corporation in the world is tied together as one.
They're not.
This is why when people kind of mistakenly say a person is an entity or a corporation is not. A person is a vessel. The vessel, and the vessel is registered with the state. Okay? But we're really a ship. Let me clarify that for just a second. International waters are what? Shipping, right? Yeah. Maritime, open to inland piracy. Okay? When you're a vessel, you're in international waters. That's why the high water mark's at the top of the mountain in Colorado. We're all underwater. Okay?
What?
Christ says, walk upon the water, follow me, have faith, and I'll teach you to be the fishers of men and be able to feed the whole village. He's teaching us to take dominion over commerce.
Wow. What an S-tier con artist move, rhetorically trying to take something that these people already deeply believe, their belief in Jesus and Christianity, and not necessarily trying to get them to believe what you believe, but saying, actually, the thing the guy you already believe in is what I'm teaching you, so you already should believe it if you want to remain consistent in the beliefs you already have. That's an incredible rhetorical strategy. It's scummy, it's disgusting, it's immoral, but purely in terms of its utility, wow. Like, that's not going to work on a lot of people, but the people who fall for that, that's S tier. That's incredible. Wow. Huh. I never would have thought of that. That's probably good. That probably speaks well to me not being as scummy.
When he says that. When he taught
And of course, yes, them running eggs, that is absolutely not the meaning of that. That is not the meaning of that at all.
Moses to part the waters and walk upon the land. He was teaching him to take dominion over the land. The Bible is a wonderful thing, and once you start learning what I'm teaching you, you start reading it in a whole new light. Okay?
Well, now it just makes me want to read the Bible. Instead of reading it to be church, I want to read it to find the facts.
That's right. That's right.
Everything that I'm understanding now as I get deeper into the pedophilia and deeper into all the other stuff, it all reverts back to Scripture.
It is full.
Probably rephrase that. Probably rephrase that.
Okay?
Well, now it just makes me want to read the Bible. Instead of reading it to be church, I want to read it to find the facts.
That's right. That's
Because
right.
everything that I'm understanding now as I get deeper into the pedophilia and deeper into all the other stuff, it all
Rephrase it!
reverts back to Scripture.
It is full of trust indentures, where he tells someone, this is your land, the land of Canaan, it's yours. It's for the benefit of your heirs forever. Right? That's a trust indenture. Okay? All through the Bible are written trust indentures. The very first one is Genesis 1.
He doesn't necessarily just mean Epstein, Lucas. These people are into a lot of other stuff like Pizzagate, QAnon. They believe that CPS is involved in child trafficking. So, like, probably Epstein is in there, but it's also surrounded by a ton of not real paranoid conspiracies about pedophilia and child trafficking. That's the unfortunate thing about those delusions, too, because it's not like you can say, no, there's no child trafficking, you're crazy. There is child trafficking. There are, like, powerful pedophiles in power. We know that. But, like, not the ones that they're obsessed with, not the way that they're obsessed with it. It's really hard to kind of pry that apart in their head and try and be like, no. You're adding a bunch of mythology onto a real issue, and you're not seeing the issue for what it is because of that.
26 through 2:25. is a trust indenture. It has all elements of a trust in that first and second book of the Bible. And it's God, as the executor, giving me, man, dominion over the land, the air, and the water, and everything therein, and telling me to manage it for the benefit of humanity, of our heirs, for the future forever. What is the legal definition of the word forever? It's until the end of the earth. Forever is until the end of the earth. Then it becomes eternity. Right, it's in perpetuity forever. No one can take that dominion away from me. So once I establish dominion, guess what? No one can take that dominion away from me. No judge can take it. Nobody. I could just kick his ass. If I wanted to create a business that makes money, I would create a business that's a PMA. Why? Because I have more control over it and less regulation over it. Okay? Makes sense. That's why I would do it. I would create a private membership association. Everybody that walks through the door.
That's what Marcel does, by the way. That's what he's selling people, are basically packages to create private member associations or similar entities that he teaches people to use to hide assets, income, anything taxable, basically.
Becomes a member. Okay? When you have a private membership association, you don't have to register it with the state. You're never under the jurisdiction of the state. You're under the jurisdiction of all members. So Gina's gymnasium up here, it's a child's
The fact that you create an organization that you voluntarily agree to be under the authority of does not mean it removes you from the authority of the jurisdictions that you exist in the United States, both federal, state, and local. That's not how this works. It's not like you have one, like, token for things that you agree to be, like, under in terms of authority, and it can only go in one place at a time. Just because you voluntarily agree to be under the authority of the rules of this hypothetical organization, you still are owed, or still rather are responsible for following the laws of the state. How insane.
gymnasium in Logan. Every child that pays $29.95 a month, $1 a month goes towards their membership fee. They're members. Little sign on the front door, not open to the public, open to all members. They walk in, they pay them every month's dues. It includes a $1 membership fee. All their employees are member owners of the business. What I've said here is the United States of America is de jure. The United States is de facto. The state of Utah, which is who the governor is in charge of, is a corporation with its corporate charter held at 44 Northwest Congress Avenue, Washington, D.C. It's not even in the Utah. So you have Utah. A state national would be a Utahn who runs his own de jure government of Utah. He's self-governed. The governor runs the state. As the way this nation's corporations were set up, they only have control over their agencies, not over you. But because you claim to be a citizen, you're part of their agencies. So she thinks she can mandate her employees.
It has nothing to do with being employees. You're not an employee of the state. You're a person that lives within their jurisdiction.
This is how she's getting away with it, or he's getting away with it. It's a woman in my state. Technically, she's only supposed to tell her agents what to do. So you have to stand up and say, wait a minute, I'm not acting as an agent. I'm acting as a we the people.
You can't be a we the people. That's plural. You are a singular person. You can be I the person. You cannot be we the people. That's not how this works. We the people is a rhetorical tool to kind of talk about, like, a group of people generally, the residents, the citizenry. It doesn't mean any one person gets to dictate what the law is. It means that collectively, by voting in representatives, we are a self-governing, like, state, country, because we allow ourselves to vote for our representatives who make decisions. This is not hard to understand. This is elementary school shit. This is like the 3 branches of government shit.
You can only tell your agencies what to do. You can't force me to do it. This is why they're running this test right now. They're looking to see how many people are going to comply. They put cameras everywhere for this event. Do you know that? Yeah. All your street lights have cameras. Everywhere's cameras. They're also training their
It's funny because that wasn't true when he said this, but now flock cameras are getting put up everywhere, so not at the time.
cameras for facial recognition of your eyes.
So retinal scan.
Yes, it's blocking this part of your face on purpose so the computer learns how to recognize just your...
That doesn't make any sense. The computer wouldn't need you to block another part. It would just crop the image to this area. It would just ignore this. Why would it need to be blocked out for it to ignore it? That doesn't make sense.
Eyes. The NLA wrote a very good, comprehensive constitution.
What's a flock camera? Am I calling it the wrong thing? It's those cameras put up by, you know, the fucking private companies that are working with like cities and stuff for like AI, like keeping track of things with their cameras.
Constitutional Sheriff's Handbook. You can go to their website. You can, yep.
That is what they're called? Okay.
Buy it. You can donate money to them, and as the money comes in, they send out hundreds of copies. So they'll send them out for you if you just donate to them and pay for them. They'll send them out. They're trying to get them to every police force, every sheriff. They started with the county sheriffs. Every county sheriff in this country now has one. Now they're working on police forces. They're trying to get them in the hands of every deputy. They want the deputies to have them. You know why they want the deputies to have them? They want them to take them home at night, set them on their coffee table, and then pick them up occasionally and read them. And that way the deputies decide, am I being ordered to do something that I'm not supposed to be doing? Well, understand this, okay, right now. None of these cities' police forces take an oath to the Constitution.
That's what I tell
None of them do.
And they're the behest of the mayor.
The only ones that take an oath
I don't think that's true.
are the counties. The county
I think
sheriffs.
they generally do. Again, I'm not like the biggest person on like oaths. I don't really get it. Like the only person who's going to take an oath seriously is an honest person who cares about living up to the things that they say. And in that case, you don't even really need to do it, probably, because that's the kind of person that, like, is already going to kind of try to do the right thing. If you're the kind of person that doesn't give a fuck about oaths, the oath doesn't do anything, so what's the point? I don't know.
The county deputies, none of the city police forces take an oath.
So that's when you requested the sheriff.
If they violate.
That's right. That's right. If a city police pulls you over, starts giving you a hard time, you say, hold on a minute, I'm calling the sheriff. And you call your county sheriff and you say, hey, as a member of your county, I am having a problem right now with a city deputy. Can you come help?
And you got to recognize that cop's not going to let you get on that phone.
No, he's
He's
going
going to
to,
try to stop you.
yeah.
He's going to try to assert every bit of power and make you inferior.
Look,
They'll tell you to put your phone down.
here's the thing. We're supposed to know who we are. We're supposed to be at peace until we're backed into a corner. We don't let anyone override us.
Yes, when it's a perjury thing, I understand.
We are the boss. They can override us. Now, I'm not saying go out and declare war on them, because that's a wrong thing to do. They will kill you. Guarantee it. Okay? But be at peace. Fly the peace flag. The dash of my pickup has a peace flag right in the passenger's corner.
A lot of good that did him when he got arrested. For those that don't know, David Strait and his wife did get arrested at some point for, like, unregistered and everything. There's a mug shot out there.
Nowadays, the police are walking up to that side of the car most of the time.
And reminder that the peace flag is the made-up sovereign citizen thing, or it's like an American flag, but with the colors inverted.
Okay?
Do they even understand what that is? Because I have no idea.
I don't care if they understand it or not. Most of them are ex-military officers. Most police officers, the police departments want to hire low IQ ex-Army officers. Why? Because the Army officers at the lower ranks follow orders to the T. So they're already programmed. They do not want high IQ officers. In fact, I know guys who have gone to the academy who are pretty smart and intelligent and were smart enough if they wanted to be a cop, to miss questions on purpose so that they could get their badge. Now that sounds terrible, but that's what they want. They want lower IQ order followers. Ones that when they give an order to follow a policy, when the county attorney walks in or the city attorney walks in and trains the officers in the police department how to collect revenue, that's all they're training. Statute is about revenue. How to collect revenue, they want them to follow those orders. They don't want them to think for themselves. And that's pretty darn sad. Makes me mad. Okay.
Oh, sorry, there's a tip. Just a Peach says, for that to work, you need to live in a state. The cities are in the county. Not everywhere works that way. Okay.
Because there's a lot of good guys who are cops. But I've seen my share of bad ones too. I absolutely want to create a legal business.
Does this guy know how much education most military officers go through to do their jobs? He claims he was a Navy SEAL, which is not true, but he claims to have been in the military.
I want to create a legal business for one purpose only.
Because they try to force you to pick a corporation.
No, it's because we have to take dominion over all three jurisdictions. So if I start a business, ABC Inc., I don't care what it's called. I've had one since 1982 called Strait Enterprises, but that tells you how old I am. All right, ABC Inc. It has to have the intent to make a profit. It has to be registered with the state. Now, when I register it with the state, I want it to clearly state that it has the intent to make a profit and that it's going to have products offered for sale in international commerce. Just put it in the notes section at the bottom. Yes, this is a key. Okay, international commerce. Now, that usually requires a website or some way to get your product out there. Does it? It has to have.
He's walking them through the steps to make a fake business that exists primarily to try and remove yourself from the jurisdiction of the government. That's so fucking crazy. Imagine someone being like, you need to start an Etsy store so you can speed and not register your car.
An offering. So a product offered for sale. A product.
Product or a service or just a product?
Well, for the purpose of this, I'm going to tell you a product, not a service. And I'll tell you why. Now, you see this bag right here? It says Costco Wholesale on it.
Don't bring Costco into this, you bitch.
That's a trademark name. Costco Wholesale is a trademark name. They placed it on a product offered for sale in international commerce with the intent to make a profit. Very key. So again, think Michael Jordan
And do you think that means what?
and Nike for just a minute. I like to use that because I'm pretty proud of the guy. If you can get $1 billion
You're pretty proud of Michael Jordan. What a weird thing to say. What a very, very weird thing to say. That Taylor Swift, I'm so proud of that girl. Like, what? What? The fuck are you talking about? Who are you in relation to them? Who cares who you're proud of? What? This is not how we talk about strangers.
over a 5-year period, $200 million a year for the use of your name, give it to them. Sign the contract. That's a pretty good gig if you can get it. So, if I took my children's names and my grandchildren's names.
Am I secretly a Swiftie? Not in particular. I like a decent amount of Taylor Swift songs. I don't consider myself like a big fan. I wouldn't go see her in concert, but it comes up on my playlist from now and again. Fate of Ophelia's good shit.
And my name. And what I mean by that is the all caps name, the vessel. And I trademark them all. doing a bulk trademark under ABC Inc.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see Weird Al. I'm a
the
bigger fan of Weird Al than I am Taylor Swift.
United States Patent and Trademark Office on their T's Plus form.
Also, his tickets are a lot cheaper.
Telling you how to do this right now. Go to their website, it's an online form, so you sit there on your T's Plus form, and you put your all caps names of you and your kids, register them as trademarks under your corporation. Now, let's just say I take my kid, and I'll just throw one of my daughter's names up here. And I take my kid, her full name's trademarked, and I put her name, well, first of all, I sign a contract.
I believe he thinks, or at least claims to think, I think he's a con man, that if you trademark your name, then you can't be listed in lawsuits, which is not how that works. Just because Michael Jordan's name might be trademarked for Air Jordans or any other product his name might be on, it doesn't mean you can't list it in lawsuits. Companies' names are trademarked, and they're in lawsuits all the time. Like, how is someone supposed to sue Coca-Cola for some sort of civil problem if the name Coca-Cola is trademarked? Yeah, you can sue Costco. Exactly. This whole thing falls apart.
With ABC Inc.
And yes, he thinks his kids are his property. That's a pretty universal belief of sovereign citizens.
And her, with her signatory officer, and I sign a contract, offering her 20% of the profits. And then I print her name on some bags or some t-shirts or some pens or whatever. I don't care. Make magnetic signs, stick them on the side of your car. I don't care what you do. But then I take, let's say I go buy a half a dozen different colored t-shirts. There's a reason I'm telling you t-shirts. And I lay them out on a white sheet at home on the bed, and I take a picture of them, and I put them on the website, and I offer them for sale for $20 plus. Yes, there's a reason for the $20. So I offer these t-shirts for sale for $20.05. I don't care. All right. I've got a contract with the business. Got her trademark names on t-shirts. Something happens, and my grandkids' names, and she has 5 kids now, by the way. I tell her I'm way too young to be a grandfather with 5 kids from one of my youngest daughters. Okay? And she lives in Utah. All right. So I put their names on this t-shirt, right? Now we got a problem at the court, or they want to steal her kids. I throw that t-shirt on, I walk into court with her trademark.
Oh my god. He convinced people to do this. There were actual people that walked into court with these stupid ass t-shirts thinking it was going to be like, you can't take my kid. Look at this t-shirt I have with their name on it. Good God. Good God.
Names, and I don't talk about the facts of the case or anything. I talk about her status, her standing, her jurisdiction, how she's taken dominion over all 3 jurisdictions.
Green guy with the dollar says, my pets own me. Mine too.
The land, the air, and the water. And I say, Judge, do you really think you should be interfering in commerce? Do you really think you should be infringing upon a trademark?
It's not trademark infringement. Trademark infringement is very specifically someone trying to use your trademark to make it look like their product is coming from you. So this A&W root beer, the logo for A&W is trademarked. I could sue A&W if, like, I opened an A&W and drank it and it was full of chlorine. I could sue them and be like, why did you put chlorine in your cans that are supposed to be potable root beer, A&W? And then I could sue them. I could even, like, in a movie or something, in theory, talk about A&W on this channel right now. This is a commercial enterprise. I make money doing this. This is my job. I can talk about A&W because it is a thing. I have no affiliation with A&W. I am making that clear. This is a product of A&W, or their whatever company they're a part of. Is it PepsiCo? Whatever the fuck it is. Anyway, it doesn't mean... Oh, what is illegal is if I were to get my own separate can of root beer that I made at home and I slapped the A&W logo on it and tried to sell it. I'm impersonating them in that case. It's like identity theft for a corporation, basically. That's trademark infringement. It has nothing to do with the usage of the name in legal documents or colloquially or when discussing the product, as long as you make it clear that you are discussing the product and you are not affiliated with it. This is nonsense.
How about right now we just demand the return?
A&W is its own brand. It says Dr. Pepper on this can. So it says, yeah, Dr. Pepper 7-Up Incorporated, Plano, Texas.
Of our property,
They might have bought him at some point.
and any document that you place that name upon without our prior written express permission be destroyed. See, he's really worried right now because he opened himself up to a great deal of liability. Once we've explained and notified him with a proper notice called a notice of appearance of how we were going to appear by special appearance, under what status, having taken dominion of our 3 jurisdictions.
There's no special status and there aren't 3 jurisdictions. That's not how this works. You're in court for a specific matter. In this case, it's family court because you're talking about kids being removed by CPS. It's not some secret 3 jurisdictions thing.
He's already been notified in law, which we've already recorded it with the county, made that document a court of record, and we filed it upon the court case. And then we walk into a hearing because Lady Justice has 2 ears and must hear.
Oh, by the way, the reason someone mentioned the chlorine thing, the reason I picked chlorine is because this is an actual thing that happened, and I think there was a lawsuit. Coca-Cola did a contest, I want to say in the 90s, could have been the early 2000s, maybe it was Pepsi. It was some soda company, where you could, like, open up the soda, and then a little, sometimes money would pop out. Like, there'd be a little mechanism inside that would spring a dollar bill up. So there was actually no soda in it. It wasn't a real soda, but to make it feel like a real soda, so you didn't just, like, go through a store and try and find all the sodas with money in them, they put liquid in it to make it seem like there's cola in there, and the liquid they chose was chlorinated. Now, typically, it would be in a reservoir separated from the upper mechanism, so you aren't supposed to be able to drink it, but, you know, they're producing a huge amount of cans for this contest, and some of them got, like, leaks in them, so the chlorinated water would be able to get into the entire in the entire can. It would make the mechanism not work anymore, so you'd open it, and the mechanism wouldn't go off, so the dollar bill didn't come out, so you didn't realize you'd got a winner one, so you'd go to try to drink it, and boom, you drink chlorinated water. So I think there were lawsuits over that. Anyway, what if you just wanted a soda? I had the same thought. When that contest happened, or when I heard about it, I don't remember if I was alive or not, but I remember seeing the ads for it. I did wonder, what if you just want a fucking soda? What if you're like, I don't want $5. I wanted a Coke.
And now we just ask for summary judgment. We demand the return of our property. We have all documents destroyed and the case dismissed.
Again, Vice News looked into David Strait, and they were able to find no lawsuits like this where he actively, like, participated in one in a family law matter.
And we all go home happy, and it takes me 15 minutes or so.
So he's just a liar. Surprise.
Okay. This is...
You're talking above a level. He understands what you're saying, but he's like, holy smoke.
Oh, he's scared in
What
his
do I just
boots.
get myself into?
See, the difference is most people walk into a courtroom and they're shaking, and they're scared, and they're afraid, and they're timid. I walk in smiling, skipping. How you doing? I want the prosecutor and I want the judge shaking. I want them shaking in their boots, wondering what the hell I know and what I'm up to.
Well, that's not going to work. Works in your fake stories, though, so that's nice.
Uh-huh. Oh, $20. I wanted
I wanted a peanut.
a peanut. $20 can buy many peanuts. Explain how. Money can be exchanged for goods and services. Woohoo!
So I walk in there with
But what if I took the soda home already before I opened it?
a whole different attitude.
Then I'm just at home with extra money and no soda. It's like the end of a Twilight Zone episode.
I own the place the minute I walk in. Okay? I'm at peace, but I'm prepared to out-debate them. And that's all it is. Is knowledge eliminates your fear. The only fear.
You know, I'll be honest with you. The more I've learned about the world, the more scared I am. So I don't know if I agree with that.
Fear is from lack of knowledge. If you're scared of mountain climbing or rock climbing or hang gliding, it's because you don't know all the aspects of it. You haven't taken all the safety precautions. I've strapped a parachute off and ran off the side of the Grand Canyon, landed at the ranch below, and rode the donkeys up.
Yeah, I don't believe that. He just lies so constantly. I can't even believe a story like that. Can you even base jump off the Grand Canyon? Do they let you do that? Wouldn't you just be at the bottom of the Grand Canyon then?
Called base jumping. It's a blast. Okay? So when you planned it out, you're not afraid. In the courts, you shouldn't be afraid in a courtroom. It's just having a little bit of knowledge. What you've learned and are going to learn this weekend, if you prepare yourself with the proper documents ahead of time, you shouldn't be scared to go into court ever again in your life. Now, they're going to try things. They're going to try and throw out constitutional bear traps for you to step in and get them wrapped around your ankles. And they're going to try and get you to say more than is necessary. See, you got to learn what to say and then learn how to shut up. Anything you say
Sounds like either people brought their kids or there's kids playing nearby.
will be used against you. So when I
Is that how he died? No, he died of an illness.
a lot of people are, man, they just rattle off and hang themselves. The key is, and we're going to talk about dynamic negotiation. We're going to talk about what that means, okay? But the key is to throw something out there. Ask them a question. In the form of a question is always better. Don't try not to make statements. Throw it out there in the form of a question. Now, when you're taking authority, you make statements. When you're getting that,
That's when the judge says, I don't answer your questions.
placing the burden of proof upon them, you're asking questions. And the burden of proof is always on them. Okay? So you shut up. I know a guy that was just walking down the street, not minding his own business, not doing nothing. This cop car pulls up and is like pacing him as he's walking down the sidewalk. The cop finally rolled his window down, asked him to stop. And the guy's looking at him like,
I want to clarify, it's the burden of proof of the state, the prosecutor, to prove you guilty. That doesn't mean that the burden of proof is on the, judge legally to answer any question you want. Like, that's not a legal requirement.
what'd I do, right? And the cop asked him to sit on the ground. It's ridiculous. Okay? No, you don't. Gosh, I'd be happy to show up and bail you out again. Don't do dumb things, all right? These guys are just people, don't have any fear, just don't say anything that's necessary. So anyway, this cop started asking him all these questions. I don't answer questions. On the advice of counsel, I don't answer questions. Cop says, what is your name? And at that point, after saying I don't answer questions, and on the advice of counsel, I
Boom, failure to identify charge.
don't answer questions, that's notice number one, notice number two. Cop says, what is your name? He zipped his lip. Well, this young, aggravated cop who was looking for somebody that might meet that description, who might have robbed a Circle K down the street, puts him in his cop car and puts handcuffs on him. And all the way to the station, the cop was trying to get him to answer questions. And he just smiled and shut up, didn't say a word. They take him to the police station, they put him in a little room, They come in, they start asking him questions. He just shuts up, doesn't say a word, doesn't give him his name, doesn't give him his address, doesn't give him anything. After about an hour and a half, the police got pretty darn fed up and tired, and they let him out the door, and he went home.
All of his stories come off as lies. There's a good reason for that. They're all lies.
That's a good scenario.
Did you sue him later?
Nah, he didn't. It's not worth. Sometimes you got to judge whether it's worth the effort, right? But the fact is, they could have done a lot more. He could have told him his name, told him his address. You know, people just say things that they don't even think incriminates them, and it does. There's some good videos on YouTube you probably ought to watch. The Pot Brothers do a really good job. Look up the Pot Brothers. Yeah, POT. There are a couple of attorneys in Denver, Colorado. When they legalized pot in Colorado, they help people get out of trouble. But they do it for a number of different reasons, just not pot. I mean, traffic stop.
You'll note in passing it's always Shut the Fuck Up Friday. It is. You do not have to give any incriminating information to the police. You have an absolute right against self-incrimination.
All kinds of things. And they tell you.
However, in something like a traffic stop, your name is not incriminating. It is considered identifying information, and you are required to give that.
Shut the fuck up. Basically.
If you are the operator of the motor vehicle, to be specific.
Okay? That's exactly how they say it. But when you pull up one of their videos, over on the side, they usually have related videos. And I've seen some very good related videos that they didn't even do that are there. And they're usually from attorneys telling people how they incriminate themselves. So the number one thing we do to get in trouble is run our mouths. One of the problems you have in Utah, and I'm going to tell you this, I, over the last 20 years, have helped a lot of cases in this state. Too high of a percentage. When there's 50 states that I work in.
Reminder again, there is no record of him being an attorney on, like, cases. There's no record of him officially being involved in cases.
And I look at the number of cases I've had in Utah, I just, start to wonder why, right? Well, the problem is this, is you got probably the world's biggest good old boy network right here. And they all go to church with each other on Sunday.
Sileon, thanks for following. Let me know if I mispronounced that, by the way.
And that's what I'm saying about this. You want to take dominion over the water? Just make up some t-shirts, offer them for sale on the internet. Write your contracts. Michael Jordan wrote a contract with Nike for 5 years, $1 billion, $200 million a year. And a police officer couldn't even write Michael Jordan's name on a ticket without the prior express written permission of Nike. So if they can't get ABC Inc.'s permission ahead of time to write Krish's name or one of her kids on their documents.
Again, this is just completely absurd. The court does not need permission to list trademarked names on legal documents when those names are the subject of said legal document. What are you talking about?
That document must be destroyed. Title 15
It's not true at all.
the United States Code becomes your savior at that point. Title 15 regulates commerce. And it says they can regulate commerce, but they can't interfere in it. Remember yesterday, I sat here for a second?
Your child is not commerce just because you made t-shirts with their name on it, you psycho. I can't believe people fell for this.
We were talking about court, and I said that the minute they call my name and I stand up and I take my first step, I'm already talking.
Did I see Justin Timberlake getting arrested for the DUI on body cam? This is going to ruin the tour. What tour? The world tour. Yeah, I've heard about it. I saw the clip. I think the written description was funnier than the actual video, at least in my view. I was in my head imagining how that scenario went with the, this is going to ruin the tour. What tour? The world tour. It was way funnier in my head than it actually turned out to be.
I'm here by special appearance, calling for a constitutional court of record to ask for a summary judgment of the truth and the facts placed upon the record by my documents. And then I shut up. I've already told them in my documents how I'm going to appear, what my status is, everything. Now I just told them I'm by special appearance so that I don't turn over jurisdiction. There's only two ways to
You're not giving over jurisdiction. They already have it.
appear in court, for those who weren't here yesterday. By general appearance or by special appearance? By general appearance, you're turning over jurisdiction to them. You're already consenting right off the bat. By special appearance, you're not. Okay, that's it. So once you do that, you really shouldn't have to say anything more. Now, you're probably going to. They're probably going to ask some questions, trying to throw out some constitutional bear traps to get you to step in and things like that to prevail. So you got to be careful and listen to every little word they say, because they got trickery down to a mastery. Okay, they really do.
There's about 30 minutes left of the stream, by the way. Reminder that after this stream, we are going to do a Patreon and YouTube member only stream. We're just going to hang out and like watch random stuff on YouTube, talk. You guys can suggest things, whatever. So if you want to be a part of that, you can join as a member on YouTube or as a paid member on Patreon.
But the main thing is we run our mouth, and then we get...
He knows how to talk to delusional people. He does. He does.
But once you do that, if you've already put your documents in and they're a court of record, see, if they're not made a court of record, they can throw your documents out, they can ignore them, they can say they're frivolous, they can do whatever the hell they want to. They're administrating them because they're nothing more than a letter.
Can we watch the animated video you sent in VHS Vault? Sure. I already watched it, but yes.
But once they're a court of record...
I mean, I still want to show it on stream, but I have seen it. I watched it when you sent it.
See, with the county...
Nemesaur, thank you so much for gifting 10 Tier 1 subs to the community. Thank you.
Publicly published. See, that's the thing about publicly publishing something. Once it's publicly published, there's no way to pull it back. If you look on this document, steps to take, number 11, you must claim your minor estate. It's going to take some time for me to explain.
He's going to say, do you know the definition of a minor? The definition of a minor is anyone under 18 years old or someone who has not claimed their minor estate.
So what does it mean to claim your minor estate? Yesterday, and for those that weren't here, I'm just going to draw it a little bit on the board. In 1882, Congress set
This is the SESDK trust thing.
up the Public Charitable Trust. That was an umbrella trust. That's all it is, an umbrella trust. Underneath the Public Charitable Trust is everybody's SESTA QV trust. That's how it's spelled.
Does that email still work? I don't know. He's not gonna answer though. He's dead.
QV. Okay, it's an individual trust. So our last census, I think there was 337 million people in the United States that all had a SESTA QV trust under the Public Charitable Trust. So again, how this nation works, how it's funded off our system of slavery is this. We're born and a balance sheet is created. There's a debit side and a credit side. I'm just going to write, here, I'll just write 1 mil.
What's his wife been up to? I actually haven't seen. I do want to look into that and see if she's still doing stuff related to this or if she basically went kind of less public after his passing.
In here. We're bonded for $1 million. What does that mean? On the debit side, $1 million is borrowed from the International Monetary Fund, and it's thrown out into the banks to the public under the Public Charitable Trust based upon you being born.
No, none of that is true.
Based upon your birth registration. Your birth certificate is a
Alded Undying says, I just realized that the Trump accounts were Trump trying to do the Temu version of this. I haven't heard of whatever the Trump accounts thing is.
bond. It's on bond paper. It's got a bank name. It's got a CUSIP number. CUSIP number is a number. It's an investment control number regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. At one of the 12 Federal Reserve banks, you have a bank account. Mine starts with a C, which means it's in Cleveland. Okay? I know what my bank routing number is, and I know what my bank account number is, which is...
How would that even work? Just one letter? C? For Cleveland. What if you're from another city that also has a C? Why does Cleveland get to just be C?
Number.
Because Cleveland rocks.
So I know the routing number of that Federal Reserve Bank.
Is it CUSIP?
CUSIP. Okay? So $1 million loan from the IMF is sent out into the public, and $1 million on the other side of the balance sheet of United States Treasury bonds are issued.
Thank you, James.
So you become the full faith and credit of the United States government. Part of it.
Alton Undying says children who are U.S. citizens are given a special bank account with $1,000 in it, and they're called Trump accounts. Oh, God.
But anyway, one of 337 million others. Okay? And you become the creditor on one side and the debtor on the other. Do you know that's determined by your status? If you claim the status of we the people, a state national, you're a creditor. If you're a U.S. citizen, you are a debtor.
Neither of those are true. This account doesn't exist. There are not CESTI accounts for American citizens. This is nonsense.
That and which one creates, one controls.
Oh, Hype Train randomly. All right, if you want to help out the Hype Train and support the show, you can always use bits or subs.
We the people created the U.S. government. U.S. government created the U.S. citizen.
80% to level 3 on the Hype Train.
Okay? So our job in life, once we turn 18, is to go out there and earn some money and spend it. So we buy a house, $200,000, we buy a car, or 2 or 3, we buy some utilities and some medical bills and some food and all kinds of crap.
Quasispec, thanks for 1,000 bits.
And that goes on the debit side, because these notes in our pockets, in our wallets, are legal tender. This debt is kept track of by the bean counters of the Department of Fiscal Services via your...
Alton Undying says, type, wiki link. Trump account, 530A account, stock market index investment account, United States established for U.S. citizen child, authorized in the big beautiful bill. Certain aspects of how the accounts will function remain to be defined. Oh boy. Alrighty then.
W-4s, your tax returns, your 1040s, your credit card statements, your bank statements, everything you spend is kept track of, okay? And it goes on the debit side. Now, in the meantime, this initial investment of this $1 million is bundled, invested, hypothecated, sold on the New York Stock Exchange, sold to companies all over the world.
What would be the underlying value of the asset that would cause them to speculate about it? Do they get money if you do certain things? Like what? Why would they be speculating on individual people? What would there to be speculate about? If the account just sits there and it appreciates regardless of what you're doing, which is how most sovereign citizens describe it, then what are they even speculating on? That doesn't make sense. Black's Law Dictionary request, what do you want me to look up? Midnight X?
This gentleman just put his
asset, will do.
CUSIP number off his birth certificate into GMEI utility a few minutes ago, right before we started, and saw a whole bunch of companies that are buying and selling him under his unique account number. 10,000 companies? Okay. Buying and selling him right now. All this debt is kept track of. This investment keeps growing. Let's just say it grows to 100 million, and you die, it goes through
asset. One sec. Wow, there's a lot of preface on this one that isn't the actual definition. An item that is owned and has value. There you go.
probate. This is the death line. And they take the money out of this account. And let's just say they take 10 million out and it's now 90 million. And they pay off this, and now the balance is zero. And they pay the loan back to the IMF, all the legal tender they pay back. All your debts now get discharged finally. And they pay it all back. And now the balance is zero. This still has 90 million in it now. What do they do with it? They just roll it over. United States Treasury bonds, full faith and credit of the government. The balance remains the same
A thing of value,
for
monetary value specifically.
perpetuity forever. So my dad, who died in 1989, I can punch into his CUSIP numbers. Companies are still buying and selling him.
He's doing this because CUSIP numbers and Social Security numbers have the same number of digits. So you could theoretically type in your Social Security number into some sort of CUSIP search thing, and it might be attached to something, but it has no relation to you. It's just the same not random. Social Security numbers aren't random. The numbers mean things, but the CUSIP number happens to have the same number with no relation to your number. Minute left on the hype train.
He's already gone through probate. All of this side's a zero balance for him. But all the money that's in there stays the same forever. But it continues to grow, right? Do you know what a sweep account is? Okay, if you go into your bank, I don't care, Wells Fargo down the street, and you open a checking account and a savings account at the same time, and you say, I want to designate my account, my checking account, as a sweep account.
Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub.
Account. Now, you go write a check out of your checking account to your utility company for 97 bucks for your monthly utility. The bank takes 100 out of your checking account and throws $3 into your savings account. People look at it like a forced savings plan. They just round it up, take it out. It's kind of what happens here. This stays the same forever.
Thanks for the hype train, everyone.
Let's say this year it makes another 10 million. The government sweeps that off and it funds government. It's an off-book fund. So if you look at the government's budget, about that much of their budget, that little slice of pie, comes from all the income taxes and taxes paid and all the tariffs on goods and services.
This isn't even how accounting works. That's what's fascinating to me. None of this is true, so all you have is a man purely trying to give the simulacrum, the impression of expertise. So this tells you what he thinks his marks think expertise looks like. It has none of the content. It is entirely surface aesthetic value. What does that look like? I find that fascinating. I find that so interesting. How do you determine what is the flash when you remove all of the substance? How do you still accurately give the impression that you have substance when you have none?
All the rest of this comes out of People's Cesta QV Trust. Everyone who's died since 1933 is currently funding government today. Now here's part of the problem right here. I'm going to break this down a little bit farther, one more step. And part of it, a big part of it, is collected out of your CUSIP while you're still alive. How do they do that? They bring you up on charges. What is a court? A court is a bank. A court is a post office. If you
Courts are not banks or post offices.
get indictment, at the bottom of the indictment it says a true bill. If you don't pay the bill, you're brought up on charges. You don't pay the charges, you're asked to bond. If you don't pay the bond, your body is held as surety while they steal from your trust.
Oh, that was literally the classic fast talker, like Gish Gallop almost.
Court case number is a CUSIP number, and it attaches to your main CUSIP number of your birth certificate, and it's a way to get paid from your account. And so it's based upon the penal sum and the net retentions. So if the penal sum, like you get a felony count of fraud, its penal sum is $2 million. The judge gets $95,000 in net retention or commission.
Judges do not get paid based on verdicts that they give. Jesus Christ.
The prosecutor gets $50,000 commission. They share some of that with the defense attorney, and it's a three-way conspiracy to conspire to arrest you for...
A conspiracy to conspire, my goodness!
So they get paid off a penal sum. And they take $2 million, 95 and 50 out of your account. Okay? Now another way is they take your kids. Yesterday I said every kid is worth $3.3 million. They take your kids, they take $1.5 million.
No, he meant defense attorney. See, he gives people legal advice. People pay him to give legal advice, so he doesn't want them to trust defense attorneys because he wants them to hire him instead, even though it is unlawful to practice law without a license. So he tells them that the defense is in on it, so they don't trust any defense attorneys. It's part of the grift.
Out of the mother Sesta trust, they take $1.5 million out of the father Sesta trust. Right off the top. This Sesta trust is our minor estate. It was put into place when we were a minor. A baby comes out of the water, is tugged through the birth canal, is docked at the dock by the dock tender, the doctor, where a bill of lading is received. It's sent with a tug out to sea, presumed dead, lost at sea, until it returns to claim its minor estate.
It's trouble, like hearing, like, you know the song Trouble in River City from The Music Man? Like, this kind of scam is the inspiration, the fast talker, that, like, the words sound good together, so you just assume they know what they're talking about, and they speak so fast you can't really comprehend it, but they're so confident you believe them. It's that, but real life! I love it. I don't love it. I hate him. I think he's terrible, but to witness it is astounding.
After the soul print has been taken, they take a soul plate, the footprints of the baby, that's taking its soul, so it's dead and lost at sea. They take the placenta, and they take the soul plate.
It's like word association.
Thereby taking the baby's soul. It's kind of a sick way to think of it, but that's how the original Sesta Act of 1666 in England was developed. The Sesta Act in England was written in 1666. Coincidence? Doubt it. We adopted it in 19...
Coincidence? I think not. Just a Peach with a Tip says, we would have a much better foster care system if each kid entered with $2 million for their care. Very true.
33. Almost 300 years later. This is our money.
Pickles Bunny says, where does the money trust come from? Like, money doesn't just appear out of nowhere. And if the government is just making it, then inflation would be crazy. Okay. So first of all, they don't understand how inflation works, so that's irrelevant to their mythology. Secondly, some of them think that the money was put into this account, this public trust or whatever, by Saint Germain, who they believe to be an immortal, that was famous at parties in, like, the 1800s, I think. So they think that he took all his immortal money, because of course he'd have a bunch of money if he's immortal, and he donated it to a public trust that then turned into this SDK accounts. Isn't that fun? M. Scheffler with a 30-stream streak says, what the hell is that act? I don't know.
Minor estate. We must lay claim to it.
To be clear, I'm not saying every sovereign citizen believes that. I have heard that from some sovereign citizens. Their beliefs are kind of loosely connected by certain ideas and dogmas, but they all have sort of different twists on the mythology.
Problem is, most of the time we go to court, we're going...
Though there are some main ones. You could probably categorize them by which mythology they more fall under. But they do fall into different groups. Stone Corbell says, if I was immortal, I'd probably still be working a wage job and playing video games all the time. Just like, for a lot longer. I think that's the way to go. You lay low. You enjoy it because you know you're going to spend a lot of time in agony during the heat death of the universe.
Under these lower courts that don't mean diddly squat, that really don't have really any authority to rule over us, except they say they do, and we consent. Okay?
I think, you know, the fact that most people consent to it, and the fact that also the government has, like, police and laws and courts is a pretty big part of that.
And we go into them, and they can't really do anything about this anyway. So what we're doing is we're just putting them on notice that we claim our minor estate. We take ownership of our birth certificates. We do that through the deeds of reconveyances. There's other ways to do it, too. You can take your birth certificate, write a declaration claiming the ownership, and filing that on the land. Good thing to do. Notify them. So every time we write a court document, when we write our notice of appearance, which should be the very first document that goes into any court case, telling them how we're going to appear, what our status is, how we've taken dominion, we're just showing up to settle the matter. In that document, we should always put in a claim to the minor estate. Now, they can't do anything about it, but it's putting them on notice that we're claiming it, okay? Your documents become a court of record when they're properly served, publicly published, and filed. Always
Your documents cannot be a court of record.
do everything in writing. Back it up with your words. See, the only thing you should have to say out of your mouth is, I'm here by special appearance, calling for a constitutional court of record, asking for a summary judgment of the truth and fact placed upon the record by my court of record, my documents. And then you should shut up. Yeah. See, here's one of the problems. Almost always in the story of a mother, which you guys missed yesterday too, the story of the mother, I'm going to hit it really fast. A mother, 9 months pregnant, walks into a foundling hospital. The legal definition of the word foundling is a safe place to abandon a child. All hospitals, police stations, fire stations, and churches in the United States were designated as foundling. So you can walk in with a baby, set it down on the floor, smile, walk out with no consequences. None. All hospitals were designated that. So you go into the birthing ward.
I don't think that's true about all hospitals. Foundling hospitals are also just what we used to call, like, orphanages, right?
Become a ward of the state. That's what you do. You walk into the birthing ward, you deliver the baby out of the water, becomes a vessel.
This guy is dangerous. It's okay, he's not around anymore. Nature took care of it.
Registered. You're handed a stack of paperwork to fill out, and in the nurse's manual it says, this is just to register your baby with the state and give it a name.
To be clear, I guess I should say he is still dangerous in the sense that all of his material is still out on the internet and people are still being convinced by it. Sovereign citizens today still share this stuff with people, so his teachings are still dangerous in that they're out there, and once something's on the internet, pretty hard to get it off. It's not happening. It's kind of at the wills of social forces and people spreading them and algorithms. But he won't be putting out any new stuff, at least.
That's a quote right out of the nurse's manuals. Nobody's securities license, nobody's insurance license, nobody's given you a prospectus, nobody's told you the terms and conditions of the contract. The mother's under duress, she's under the influence of painkillers.
There's no contract.
She's not legally able to even sign a contract. And she signs that, fills that
It's not a contract.
paperwork out and signs as an informant. The legal definition of the word informant is someone...
In this context, informant means person giving the information.
Gives someone else up to another, thereby giving title and equity of the child to the state. It forms the doctrine of parens patriae, where the state is the parent. You see?
The state is not the parent. You are the parent and legal guardian.
See how sick and wrong this really is? Then CPS can kick down your door with a police officer, take your kid, run you.
They can do that because your children are human beings with their own rights, and they are not your property. That's why. The state doesn't own your kids, just like you don't own your kids.
You throw a bunch of hoops, terminate your parental rights, do whatever the state wants them to do, and then sell your child. And they do it all the time. See, under the Public Charitable Trust Act, you are the co-trustee, co-beneficiary, and the only signatory officer. This is why it takes 3 signatures to put a person in jail. This is why I explained this yesterday. It takes the judges, it takes prosecutors, and it takes either yours or your attorneys.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's why you don't get power of attorney to an attorney, because he'll sign you away. He'll sign you in jail as surety for the bond.
Almost every single time.
Man, bang head here. Seriously. Well, of course. But what is the definition of an attorney? An actor to a turn. An actor gets up on stage and lies convincingly.
An attorney and to a turn is like someone you turn to. That's the etymology of attorney. It's someone that you turn to.
Enough to make you believe in the character and the plot, and to a turn is to steal from one and turn over to another. Therefore a thief. So they're a liar and a thief. That's why God warned us in the Bible. So what is the legal definition of the word legal? The undoing of God's laws.
Incorrect.
What is legal is not lawful.
Legal and lawful are synonyms.
So I read Doctrine and Covenants 98 yesterday. I went right through it. It clearly states, follow the laws of the land which are constitutional. Anything more or less of this cometh of evil. The laws of man. And it's clear, crystal clear in there. So you claim your minor...
The Constitution literally lays out how both the federal government can legislate new laws, but also explicitly states that states can also have their own laws. They might be under the federal in the sense that they can't directly go against federal law, but they can have their own laws as long as they're not unconstitutional, and they do.
State. Now, that's in 99% of your court cases that you're dealing with right here in the state. But what happens if you're dealing in a federal case? Guess who has the authority to deal with the Department of Fiscal Services, which are the accountants for the United States Treasury, which is the holding account of the Sesta QV Trust for the International Monetary Fund and the Federal Reserve? Guess who has that authority? Mary, the head clerk in that district. Mary has the authority. She can fill out the online forms with the Department of Fiscal Services. Now,
Can I go back to the Book of Mormon reference? I can certainly try.
Sesta QV Trust.
How far back was
which
it?
Are the accountants for the United States Treasury.
Was it before this?
Which is the holding account of the Sesta QV Trust for the International Monetary Fund and the Federal Reserve. Guess who has that authority? Mary, the
Okay,
head
it must have been
clerk
further back than
as
that.
an informant. The legal definition of the word informant is someone who gives someone else up to another, thereby giving title and equity of the child to the state. It forms the doctrine of parens patriae, where the state is the parent. You see how sick and wrong this really is? Then CPS can kick down your door with a police officer, take your kid, run you through a bunch of hoops, terminate your parental rights, do whatever the state wants them to do, and then sell your child. And they do it all the time. See, under the Public Charitable Trust Act, you are the co-trustee, co-beneficiary, and the only signatory officer. This is why it takes 3 signatures to put a person in jail.
Did I go back far enough?
That's why I explained this yesterday. It takes the judges, it takes prosecutors, and it takes either yours or your attorneys. Sign you away. He'll sign you in jail as surety for the bond.
Almost every single time.
Man,
the attorney-
bang head here. Seriously. Well, of course. But what is the definition of an attorney? An actor to a turn. An actor gets up on stage and lies convincingly enough to make you believe in the character and the plot, and to a turn is to steal from one and turn over to another. Therefore, a thief.
That is not what a turn means.
So they're a liar and a thief. That's why God warned us in the Bible. So what is the legal definition of the word legal? The undoing of God's laws.
Incorrect.
What is legal is not lawful. So I read Doctrine and Covenants 98 yesterday.
There it is.
I went right through it. It clearly states, follow the laws of the land which are constitutional. Anything more or less of this cometh of evil. The laws of man. And it's clear, crystal clear in there. So you claim your minor estate. Now, that's in 99% of your court cases that you're dealing with right here in the state. But what happens if you're dealing in a federal case? Guess who has the authority to deal with the Department of Fiscal Services, which are the accountants for the United States Treasury, which is the holding account of the Sesta QV Trust for the International Monetary Fund and the Federal
Are we
Reserve.
watching on 1.5, 1.25?
Guess who has that authority? Mary, the head clerk in that district. Mary has the authority. She can fill out the online forms with the Department of Fiscal Services. Now she needs a judge and a prosecutor and your signature or your attorneys to sign off on it. Now guess what? If I walk in and I make a claim to my minor estate to a federal probate judge or a bankruptcy judge, federal bankruptcy judge, he can order Mary with my signature to claim the minor estate.
They can file with her? Did you say file?
There's forms they can fill out with the Department of Fiscal Services online to put in a claim to my minor estate. I have the account number, I have the bank, I have the routing number, I have all the information to give to her.
Now you go in there and claim it, are they going to try to stop you? Do they not want you to have access to it?
They can't stop you. We're the co-trustee, co-beneficiary, and the only signatory officer. This is just an administrative process.
How many clerks have been harassed because of this fucking guy?
Well, prior to 1999, November of 1999, the United States declared bankruptcy. Prior to that, I'd claimed my minor estate, and I had a black credit card in my pocket I could buy a Learjet on.
Just fucking lying.
Okay?
You did that.
No, I didn't buy a Learjet. Yeah, I had a black credit card on my account,
Linked to your minor
linked to my estate at the Federal Reserve, the bank instant.
Can we see the card? Why don't you have it anymore? Would you take us all somewhere where you buy something really expensive to prove this is true? Do you have any evidence of large purchases that you made with this card? All questions people in the audience could have asked.
It's Cleveland, with my account number, the Federal Reserve Bank in Cleveland. Now, in November of 99, the United States declared bankruptcy, and they attached all the Cestui Que Vie Trust to the federal debt, the 25 trillion or whatever is in debt, right? So now, I know a few people who have claimed their minor estate since then, and it's really funny that when that paperwork, the day that paperwork goes
We were
in,
at a budget like surplus in the 90s, but we were still in debt. It just meant that the current budget was in surplus as opposed to being in deficit, which it has been since then, basically, and before that.
and the debt clock goes,
So we were actively paying off more and more of the debt at the time, but it was not like we didn't have debt.
and drops 150,000 or so. Their portion of the federal debt got paid off when they claimed their minor estate.
So it claims
So we could go wipe that whole 25 trillion off. It only takes about 150,000 out of our, 100 million that you might have in there. And you're entitled to half of that money. You're the co-trustee, the co-beneficiary, the only signatory officer. If there's 100 million in there, 50 million of it's yours. Now, they have been very, very good money managers. I don't recommend taking it out. I recommend just asking for access and having a checking account on it with a credit card. Now you want to go buy a house? Go down to Wells Fargo and say, hey, I like that house over there. It's worth 300,000. Just put it on this. Yeah. Same with that new Chevy Duramax diesel truck. Just put that 75,000 on this. If I walk into a Chevy dealership, I happen to like Duramax diesels. I like the crew cab, long bed, fully decked out, LTZ. $75,000, $80,000 trucks, right? If I walk in there with $80,000 or whatever it is, and I lay it down on the table, at that moment in time, I own that truck. But the salesman looks at me and says, give me another $250 for title, license, and registration, please. I say, no, that's okay. I'm buying it to export to a foreign country. And then he gives me the MCO and MSO after I sign a little statement that I'm buying to export it. And then I get in the truck and I sit down and
This is fraud again? This is just fraud again. That's like any of the actual actionable advice that isn't just filling out bullshit paperwork is actively telling people to commit fraud.
I roll the seats back. I turn the key and I drive out of the dealership, and when I land on the road, I'm exporting it from the state of Oregon to Oregon.
No. Do you think that... I know, he thinks that his audience is this stupid, at least, yeah.
A foreign nation. I own the truck as a man. It's a private for-profit entity. I'm not going to use it as an Uber. Now, if
It doesn't matter.
I wanted to use one as an Uber, I could file it under my vessel name in international commerce, but then I'd have to license it with the state. Hey, I've walked into federal courthouses and
Alton Undying, thanks for gifting a sub.
I've done this. Here, I want to open a federal case under a miscellaneous case number. Here's my $400. I'm going to be filing paperwork later. We'll convert it into a civil or a criminal case.
What? You can't convert... You can't... What? We're gonna convert it into a civil or criminal case. Private prosecution doesn't exist in the United States, so you can't initiate a criminal matter. What are you talking about?
And I walk out. They just open a case number. They give me a CUSIP number under a miscellaneous filing for me to do something with later.
And that would be another CUSIP number added to your CUSIP number.
No, it's a CUSIP number that I can do something with. I control that.
All right, we are at 3 hours, so I'm gonna be looking for a good place to stop where we can bookmark for the next time we cover him.
So now I can attach that to my birth certificate number, and I can use that to claim my minor estate by calling for a probate judge to adjudicate it. And then Mary has to contact the bean counters and find out how much I owe on the debit side and how much I have on the credit side, and that all goes through that probate judge who pays off all the debts.
This is the worst lecture on YouTube by far. Have you seen Time Cube? Look up Time Cube.
And then whatever's left, I claim half, because half's mine, but I don't want to take it.
You just want to keep letting
They're good investment managers. They've proven themselves to be good investment managers. Leave it there. What if I get in trouble sometime and I needed something to draw on? Now I just walk into court and I settle the matter. Here's my birth certificate. Here's my CUSIP. Here's my credit card. Let's settle the matter. What's the penal?
That's not how this works, and not every crime is a financial solution. Like, you still go to jail for things. You can't just pay your way out of certain criminal penalties. What are you talking about?
So, see, if I get indicted. See, here's the problem with an indictment. Everybody gets an indictment. It's got a penal sum. It says right at the bottom it's a true bill, which means it's an invoice, and nobody bothers to say, well, how much is the bill? And they
Rick M with 185 stream streaks says, I have a cat on my lap. So happy. You're very lucky.
don't ask. So 30 days later, they're brought up on charges because they didn't ask how much the bill and they didn't settle the matter. You got the opportunity to settle the matter at the indictment before anything else occurs, but you don't. It's like getting a credit card bill, putting it on the fridge, and I'll pay it later, and you forget about it, right?
So typically, how much would an indictment be? Who sets that number?
What are you being charged with? What? How much?
That's probably a good place to stop. All right. Hannah, in the future, when you're checking where we stopped here, an hour 40 minutes. Hi, future me. I hope you're having a good one. Anyway, so thank you everyone for hanging out and watching more of David Strait's bullshit with me. I do want to get through at some point all of this seminar, all of this particular seminar, because he covers pretty much all of his bases, his stuff that he normally covers. So, am I not arguing with future me anymore? We've made up. We're okay. We're okay now. Or have we, you bitch? Anyway, so let's see who we're gonna raid. Like I said, we're gonna do a Patreon and YouTube member stream after this, so I'm gonna go take about 10, maybe 15 minutes, use the bathroom, maybe grab a snack, fill up my water, and then I'll be back for patrons and YouTube members to hang out and watch some stuff together. I did see that you just signed up for the Patreon. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. What else? Forgot what I was gonna say. Must not have been that important, I guess. Who are we gonna raid? We'll raid KF Logan. Oh yeah, he's just starting to. Perfect. Alright. Oh, by the way, I am not streaming tomorrow because of the holiday. Doing some stuff with family. And Tuesday I work all day, so I won't be able to do Tinfoil Tuesday. So for non-patrons and members, I will see you Wednesday for Tinfoil. Excited to see you then. All right, let's do this raid. Have a good burger hot dog day. I think we're doing hot dogs, which I'm excited for. I've been craving hot dogs for a bit. And for those that don't know, Michigan has incredibly strict standards for hot dogs. So we have some of the best hot dogs in the whole country. Delicious stuff. All right, have a good night, everyone. See you later.